Hello everyone and welcome to Edmonds District Stadium for the first of a doubleheader tonight. We welcome in the Interlake Saints from the Kingco 3A and 2A division in to face the Lynwood Royals. Lynwood Royals with a record of 2-1 on the season. Interlake, a similar record, 2-1 on the season, coming into the matchup here at the house of the Lynwood Royals. Keith Neely, Steve Willits along for the ride this fine evening. It is right now dry, Steve, and we're getting ready for some football.
We are very close to some football. These guys are out on the field and ready to go here. Lynwood wearing the home black uniforms to kick off to the Interlake Saints, which is short for St. Bernard's.
Interlake Saints, of course, in the 3A, 2A division of Kingco, home of Bellevue and Juanita, Mercer Island. The Liberty Patriots already have played the Saints this season in a loss, or excuse me, it was a loss, 51-32. Liberty over the top of Interlake in a first regular season conference matchup for the Saints. Of course, Lynwood has already played a couple themselves and are right there in the middle of the pack. We'll get to the standings and how all that shakes up for the Kingco and Wesco teams as the kickoff is away. We have football, the first of two, of course. I'd also like to welcome in the folks watching at Red Onion Burgers in Mountain Lake Terrace for the first time tonight. We hope you enjoy. If you're having a fine burger there at the Red Onions, you're getting your fill of football also. First down and 10, we're just underway, and already a stoppage of play. Our white hat tonight, Nick Martin, stopping things for just a second. Now we'll get the clock moving. And we'll set up this Interlake Saints football squad here after the first play from scrimmage. There's the handoff. I'll bust out over the right-hand side, still on his feet. And is Jean Parrish, the ball carrier, 5'6", 170-pound running back. And he is just moving right along, picks up 5 yards. That's a scoot.
Yeah, nice tackle by Kevin Wynn there to get him by the feet. We're going to see a lot of Parrish tonight. He's kind of their go-to guy, and this is an Interlake team that likes to run first. Passing is a secondary option
That's
for them.
what we hear, and almost every down situation is a running down, even third and long. And now into the shotgun formation, the handoff once again to Parrish, tries to scoot through that big line, no go, it's a loss of 1.
And guess who, number 3, that's Andrew Katzenberger in there on the tackle, along with a few other friends, but Katzenberger, somebody who's definitely made his presence known this year, and a big reason why both of Lynwood's wins were shutouts this year.
And you're going to see a lot of number 3, the big gold number 3 of the senior Katzenberger, 220, 6'2", and we're talking about him on defense right now, but he packs a wallop out of the backfield for the Royals on offense also. Back into the shotgun formation for the 3rd and 7. There's the pass attempt over the middle, caught and dropped, took a shot. The intended receiver was Brandon Gallen, and he got popped immediately.
Yeah, great teamwork. That was Bobby Graham, number 22, and Carson Horner, number 21. Both there to make the stop. Two guys who have had a very nice year in the secondary. Graham really the one taking the stepping forward that time and really laying the lumber on the wide receiver and forcing a 4th down.
10 minutes to go, first quarter. We're just underway. The punt squad is on, and deep to receive for the Royals is Richard Chuang.
Tron is a very good punt returner, by the way.
Absolutely.
A good return specialist in general, and somebody who's always dangerous when he gets his hands on the ball.
We've got a timeout on the field here on the Sound Live Sports Network. We'll take a break, our first one of the evening, and be back as Interlake kicks away to the Lynwood Royals for the first time on offense. We'll be right back. Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com. Welcome back. Jason Rodriguez. Let's do it again. Back to punt for the Saints of Interlake. A 5'7", 165-pounder. Lets one fly. Gathered in at 30 over the shoulder. Has to beat two men. He gets around that right-hand side. Trong's got the wheels past the 40. Up near midfield, 45 out of bounds, and that'll set up the first.
And they did a little switcheroo on that. That was Carson Horner that actually took the punt return. You're right. It was Trung who had lined up before the timeout. I don't know what caused the coach to want to make the switch, but it worked. A 16-yard return for Horner, and that's where Lynwood starts.
Good eye. That's Steve Willis, known for a lot of things. Vision, evidently another one. 10:21 to go, first quarter. As Justin Cachopo steps up. Cachopo, 6'1", 168-pound senior, has really blossomed as a quarterback this season. Handoff to guess who? Katzenberger straight ahead into a pile of Saints and pushes the load forward for a gain of 4.
That's just vintage Katzenberger right there. He lunges forward. He'll if he gets stopped right away, he'll push for a couple extra yards, and that's exactly what he did. Took what should have been maybe a 1-yard gain and made it a 3.5, 4-yard gain.
So much is built on statistics nowadays, and I guess kind of the fancy stats that seem to be all the vogue right now is yards after catch and yards after contact if you're a running back. And if you look at Katzenberger, those yards after contact are really impressive.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a swing out pass near the first down marker. It's caught.
And there's Richard Trung. Now he's touching the ball. So maybe that's why they left him off the kick return, so they could get him ready for a big second down bubble screen play. And Trung does the job, gets another 4 yards, and brings up a 3rd and 2.
3rd and 2 is a whole lot better than 3rd and 6. And Cachopo has just been pinpoint accurate. It's been a lot of fun to watch that young man, especially the first couple of ball games. I think at one point in time, the first game you and I called, Steve, for Lynwood, I think he only misfired 5 times in about 30 attempts. And for a high school quarterback, that's really, really nice. There's a stop behind the line of scrimmage. And this time, the yards after contact for Katzenberger draw a goose egg, 0, and maybe a loss, a small loss on the play. So that'll bring up 4th down.
Credit Armand Reddick Fields, number 64, Interlake on that play. He just busted right on through the line. Got to Katzenberger before he could do anything. So really, Andrew had nowhere to go but down. It's going to bring up the 4th and 3. And Bankhead and the coaching staff, they have a little decision to make, and it looks like they've made it. They're going to go for it.
And it may be made on the first possession that Interlake had, where they really didn't get any offense going and got a couple of drops for loss. And if you can think you're going to get that the rest of the afternoon, why not? Here's Cachopo. He rolls out, has a man open, caught. It's Katzenberger right near the first down marker. It'll be important as to where this spot is. And right now he will come up short. It may mean a measurement is coming.
No measurement. They've already signaled the other way, and I've got to be honest, I'm not sure I like the spot. Katzenberger was on around the 44-yard line when he initially caught that pass, got hit back to the 45, and that's where they spotted him.
So it will be a turnover on downs, and the Saints will get the ball back. Billy Jensen, quarterback, 5'9", 155 pounds. And he will step in to that familiar shotgun formation with Parrish behind him. 4 wideouts. Here's the handoff to Parrish. Caught in the backfield. Katzenberger sniffed that one up from the get-go, and it's a loss of 4.
And that's just not fair, is it? I mean, you've got Katzenberger, who measures out at 6'2", 220 pounds. He gets right back there into the backfield, and before Deshaun Parrish, who's listed at 5'6", 170, he may not be 170, hint, hint. He had nowhere to go, and Katzenberger wraps him up, puts him down for a loss of 2. And Interlake showing that their yardage is hard to come by for them so far. 4 offensive plays into the game.
And they'll try with 8:10 to go to get a little something happening here with second down and long after the loss. As Jensen in the shotgun formation tries to scramble, the ball is loose. And it will be a credit for a tackle for loss. It looked like he had 2 or 3 different Royals in the backfield, but now it's third and a long, long way.
Yeah, Harris Cuddick was one of the 2 or 3 Lynwood Royals that was back there. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I think the quarterback was trying to hold up on pitching it and just drop the ball. Luckily, he fell on it. If you're Interlake, luckily.
Yeah, Cuddick was right there, could have picked that up. Here's a little handoff on the delay, and it's around the end. Parrish picks up what would be a very nice gain of about 10 yards, but because of the loss in the previous 2 plays, it really doesn't do him a whole lot of good. Gets him up near the original line of scrimmage, and it's a 4th down situation. You're going to probably punt this away again.
And they're going to spot him out at the 50. Apparently he did step out of bounds after a 7-yard gain. Nice call by the Interlake team, though, to do the draw play. Nothing else seems to be working thus far. Trying to catch Lynwood off guard, and obviously Lynwood in a 3rd and long defensive package, thinking it was going to be a pass. Fooled him for a brief moment, but fortunately, if you're the Royals, they finally did stop him.
Low angled kick taken in at the 10-yard line, and a penalty marker is down. Excellent, excellent pursuit on special teams by the Saints.
Yeah, give a lot of credit to number 7 on that play. That was Brandon Gilland, or Golland, I guess is the name. Golland was being blocked by Graham. I think Graham got him in the back a little bit, and not only was he able to overcome the block in the back, he was still able to get to Trung and make the tackle. Pins him down at the 12, and they're going to go back even further after the block in the back call gets marched off here.
Riley Schroeder for the Saints also down on coverage. They had it really well surrounded. I don't think Trung had a lot of running room even to his right had he gotten loose from the initial contact. So a bright spot early for Interlake on their special teams play there, and it'll be 1st down and 10 yards to go. With the ball on the 6-yard line. Chopo has Katzenberger behind him. 4 wideouts, 2 twins to the north, twins to the south, man in motion. And that is Horner. And here is Katzenberger on the handoff. Spin, he'll bust outside. He's got a little bit of running room, picks up the 1st down. After a gain of 11, 12 yards, call it.
And you talked about yards after contact earlier, and that's exactly what Katzenberger did there. Got hit around the 7 or 8 yard line, spun out of one tackler, was able to get forward for 13 yards, and like you said, they're moving the chains.
First down of the evening. 7 minutes to go, 1st quarter of play here. And Lynwood on the move after a nice little dash around the left end. Again, 4 wide receivers, 4 down linemen for the Saints, and into the pile. That was not Katzenberger that time.
No, that's Michael Dappis. He's their change of pace back. They go to him quite often. 5'6", 150 pounds, and you'll see a few more carries from him before the night's over. That's what he brings to the table right there.
Little change of pace, change of direction. It works for almost any sport, football included. Yeah, you get a defense that just kind of sits back and times things.
If you're used to gearing on a 6'2", 220-pound back, and then all of a sudden there's a guy in there that's 8 inches shorter and 50 pounds lighter, or 70 pounds lighter in this case, yeah, it definitely changes the complexion of a play.
Interlake loading the box. They've got almost all their linebackers on the line of scrimmage now. Here's the pitch out around the right end and into some contact at the 20. Ball comes loose for a moment.
And that was Dappis one more time.
I think Dappis picked it up after he bomped it off the ground. 3rd down. So after initial success, Lynwood's stubbing their toe just a little bit now, 3rd and 9. We'll see what they can do. I imagine they'll go right back to the shotgun formation. We look down here at the track, and Katzenberger's got his helmet off, heading over to the trainer's table, and now we'll head into the locker room. We'll have to see what that's about.
And it might even be, I'm not sure if it's an injury or maybe even an equipment malfunction, as he was looking down at his helmet there for a moment. We'll keep an eye on that and try to keep everybody posted.
Cachopo back to pass now. Looks over the middle, nowhere to go. Is sacked behind the line of scrimmage. Saints.
Yeah, that was
they blitz 2 outside, one being the defensive back, Kelvin Benedict, and he timed it perfectly.
Yeah, Benedict got right in there and didn't give Cachopo much time to throw at all. Lynwood, which you mentioned earlier, very solid passing game this year. They haven't been able to really get much going on right now. Only one completion thus far, and that was, for 3 yards. So still looking for their second first down of the game after 2 possessions.
And the punt is away. It also is long into the wind, low into the wind, I should say. And now a great field position for the Saints, and it may be better field position than the initial line of scrimmage there. I think after the return, net -3.
Yeah, Rodriguez fielded that on the 45-yard line. He returned it 35 yards. Giving his team a first and goal here, is just found that left sideline, made his way down the line, and broke 1 or 2 tackles in the process, and put the Saints in really good field position here for their third time this game. Should say their third possession of the game.
First and goal now. And a gift basket handed to the Saints by the Royals.
Rodriguez might disagree, but a little bit of a nice given if you're the offense here. You're getting the ball in a prime
nice
spot.
Right
Absolutely.
Now. Jensen in the shotgun formation, trips to the near side. And in the backfield, the lone back is Parrish. And now I believe we've got a motion penalty, and that will go against Interlake.
No, that is definitely, and that was number 50 over there on the right side. That was Harris Kuduk, who was trying to get a little bit of a head start. He flinched just a little bit, tried to get back, but in the high school game, you cannot do that. At the college level or the pros, he would have been okay. Unfortunately for him, he encroached across that line, and that's going to give Interlake 5 more yards and put them that much closer to the pay dirt.
And it makes your eyes awful wide if you're wearing white jerseys tonight to look 5 yards in and see the opportunity to go up in the ball game, especially on the road. First down and goal to go again on the 5-yard line this time. High snap. Parrish on the option will pitch out to the right. It's Parrish and gets held up, but then knocked forward, and forward momentum down to the 1.
Oh, and they're saying he fumbled. Let's see what the referees say. They are going to spot him down, as initially it looked as though he might have fumbled. I think he was down as well, but it was awfully close, and the Lynwood players getting a little excited there. Give Parrish a lot of credit. We mentioned earlier he's not that big of a guy, and for him to lunge forward after initially being wrapped up at around the 4-yard line and to still pick up 3 yards, very impressive.
So second down now with the ball on about the 1.5. And those are the football touching the 1-yard mark with 3:45 to go first quarter. And now as the entire team for the Saints looks over at head coach David Myers for some instruction, and now it has come in.
Seems to be quite a bit of confusion here. Let's see what they run.
And now Jensen gets the snap. He'll take it himself and into the end zone for the touchdown. And it is 7-0, awaiting the extra point, 6-0 actually. But the Saints are on the board first, and they did it with some great field position and a little bit of help from the penalty.
It never hurts when your offense comes onto the field and it only has to go 5 yards to get into that end zone, and that's exactly what happened there. Boy, I think if Lynwood would like to have that punt again, because really Interlake not doing much on offense thus far, and yet they've got 7 points and they have the lead.
4 plays, 10 yards, and now a penalty flag. Another bit of yellow laundry on the field. Early game, the 5 o'clock start. And we've got another one at 8 tonight. That one a bit of a crosstown matchup between the Mount Lake Terrace Hawks and the Edmonds Woodway Warriors. Steve and I once again being right there with you with the call. We hope you'll stick around for that one.
And we promise a much better game than last year, right, when those two teams met and it was 35-0. Mount Lake Terrace sitting a little bit better this year at 2-1. We'll see, so stay tuned.
Yeah, and there's the kick. It is up, and it is good. And we are on the board with the Interlake Saints on top of the Lynwood Royals, 7-0, 3:20 to go first quarter. We'll take a break on the Sound Live Sports Network. Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
Are you a whiz in filmmaking? Do you want to become extraordinary in filmmaking? Then come to Shoreline Community College and work with Shoreline Productions, where you will learn to transform your work in teams of working professionals and students to create enchanting effects such as green screen, text animation, and so much more. So come to Shoreline Community College, where you can mystify and dazzle in filmmaking.
7-0 Interlake over Lynwood. Some very efficient offense from the Saints. In the ball game, 8 total yards, 7 points. Sometimes things just work out. Here's the kick. And it is gathered in at the 2-yard line. Now the 10, a bit of a hole at the middle. Had a one blocker but couldn't get past the 23-yard line. That's where we will start the third possession for the Royals.
And the Lynwood Royals streak is over. The first 2 games of the year that Lynwood played here at the stadium, shutouts. 6-0 over Stanwood, 55-0 over Shorecrest. We don't know who's going to win this game, but we know one thing. Interlake's not going to have a 0 on the scoreboard tonight.
Not pitching the shutout. The clean sheet is off. First down and 10 yards to go. 3 wide receivers and 2 backs in the full house backfield. And they're lucky he didn't get a penalty flag. Now it will come out.
I was wondering when that flag was coming out. Yeah, there was number 34 who was lined up in the backfield, Mike Kirkman. Kirkman is only a sophomore. He's 6'1", 220, and playing in the place of Katzenberger, who we mentioned last drive, went to the locker room. And Coach Bankhead mentioned tonight that he wants to start using more of a 2-back set. Felt that they didn't run the ball very well against Glacier Peak. They've been kind of a 1-back offense all season long so far. And he was going to bring out the 2-back, and didn't do it in the first 3 drives, or the first 2 drives. And he tries it on this first play, and the running backs get a little confused and get him a 5-yard penalty.
Kirkman, we nicknamed him last year the bowling ball, the way that kid threw or just rolled over interior down lineman on defense.
By the way, the penalty was declined.
And now on second down, Cachopo back to pass, has a man open, caught, and a great catch under pressure over his shoulder. It's Alton Hammond that makes the catch.
And give the junior Riley Schroeder kudos on that play too. He timed that one out perfectly and made sure that once Hammond had the ball in hand, he wasn't going anywhere and only picked up 2 yards.
Third down again for Lynwood. And without their senior leader in the backfield, it's a bit of a different look for the Royals.
It is, but I know they're fairly high on Hammond. Kirkman, like you mentioned, he's a load as well, so they've still got some weapons.
Pass over the middle, caught near the first down marker. The spot will be close. Caught by Lucas Jungman. Came out of the slot on the right-hand side. Just a little draw across the middle. And Cachopo hit him perfectly. First down.
Yeah, Youngman coming into this game first in Wesco 3A South in receptions this year. He had 12 coming in. There's his first one tonight, and that's not the last time you're going to see Youngman get a pass thrown his way. 2 touchdown passes last time he was here against Shorecrest 2 weeks ago.
A $141 in the first quarter is all that is left. Now a run out to the right-hand side. It's Hammond who gets squirts loose. They thought they had him 3 yards deep behind the line of scrimmage. But the sophomore just steps out of the grasp and around the end.
Yeah, nice pickup there. Gain of 11, and that's exactly what you needed to get those chains moving forward again. Like we mentioned, Hammond is a big fella too. He's not exactly a lot of a drop-off when you talk in terms of size between him and Katzenberger. 5'10", 198. He's a well-built 198 though, and like you said, only a sophomore, only going to get better. He's pretty good right now though.
1:08 now. Shotgun, handed it right back. Here he is once again. Hammond into the pile. And again, churning those legs, gains an extra 1 yard after what looked like a stop on the play.
Not only a stop, but he got bumped backwards about a yard. It was almost as though he ricocheted off of somebody, kept the legs churning like you mentioned, and then still got forward for another 1 or 2. And It's exactly what you want out of a running back. That's textbook. That's what you teach the running backs. Always keep those legs moving, never stop. And that's why they tell you that, because when a play like that happens, you don't just fall over, you still gain a couple extra yards at the end.
Drive started on the Lynwood 23. This is the 5th play of the drive. Near midfield now with 24 seconds to go. Here's the run around the left-hand side, a leap, and that will probably be a penalty marker. You cannot hurdle a play. Well, they're not going to throw it.
When you're diving at the legs like that, you can. It's I think in a situation like that, you don't have much choice. It's a judgment call, and they're not going to get you on that play. And nice job by Hammond. It looks like he's a little bit of a hurdler in the process and picked up an extra yard or two.
So 3rd down at the end of the quarter. 3rd and 4 is where we will find the Royals after the break. Interlake gets on the board first, 7-0 over the Royals. You're watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Are you a whiz in filmmaking? Do you want to become extraordinary in filmmaking? Then come to Shoreline Community College and work with Shoreline Productions, where you will learn to transform your work in teams of working professionals and students to create enchanting effects such as green screen, text animation, and so much more. So come to Shoreline Community College, where you can mystify and dazzle in filmmaking.
And we are back again. Welcome back to the Sound Live Sports Network. Steve Willits along with Keith Neely. 1 quarter in the books. The Interlake Saints 7, the Lynwood Royals 0. I wouldn't call this a spectacular game by any means so far, Keith. Interlake right now 7 points on 8 yards. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right. And Lynwood has eclipsed every bit of yardage in the entire ball game on this drive.
And here we go, Cachopo taking the snap, hands it to Hammond. He finds some room along the right-hand side. He's still going 35-30. A penalty flag is back at the 45, but Hammond finds the end zone. If it stands, touchdown Royals.
In the backfield, Steve, not a good place. It's usually a hold, and I think that's what we're going to see. I think this one's coming back.
Yeah, and it was actually about 5 yards downfield from where the line of scrimmage was, so I was holding out a little bit of hope that maybe there was an illegal use of hands by Interlake, but that is not the case. It is, in fact, a hold. Scratch the touchdown. Alton Hammond gets himself a little bit of a workout anyway, but it's all for naught, and that ball's coming back.
Really unfortunate. The way that play developed, I don't think you had the hold. And you can see in the replay it was definitely a nice run. Excellent job by Hammond to scoot around that left end, but I think the place where the hold was well beyond the play. I think it was so far behind the play, I don't think you have to make that contact.
I'm sure Hammond would have wished that his teammate did not hold it. I think he wanted that touchdown. Unfortunately for him, it did come back. 3rd and 9 now. Cachopo takes the snap, looks downfield. He's being blitzed, gets away from a couple of guys, but not the rest of the team, as about 5 or 6 Saints get to him at around the 43-yard line. That's going to be a loss of about 2 yards, and that's going to bring up another 4th and long. And unfortunately for the Royals, it's going to mean that Horner's coming back on to punt.
Drive looked like it was settling in nicely. Started on the 23. You're up 20 yards into the drive and had some momentum. And one little mistake sometimes is all it takes to throw a knot into things.
Yeah, Lynwood still looking to get something going here. Hasn't happened thus far after 3 drives. Horner gets his best punt of the night off. It's caught by Rodriguez at around the 24. Eludes the first tackler. Tries to cut it back into the middle. Finds some space. He's still going. Rodriguez to the 50. Cuts back and finally steps out of bounds at the 49-yard line. A gain of 26 yards. Not bad, seeing his last punt return was 35 yards. Doing some quick math, that's a 30.5-yard average on his last 2 punt returns. And for a team that is up 7-0 with 8 yards of total offense and the ball on the Lynwood side of the field, if you're the Interlake Rams and you're his teammates, thank you very much, Mr. Rodriguez.
Everything in football seems to revolve around offense and defense. And sometimes neglected are those special teams, especially in high school. With the kicking game maybe is not as refined as in the college and the pros, boy, does it make a difference.
It's made a huge difference in this game so far. It's what's keeping them out ahead. Jensen pitches the ball to Parrish, looking for room. Gets by Katzenberger, who's back in the game, and is finally tackled at around the 43-yard line. A gain of, actually they'll spot it on the 44. Will give Parrish 5 yards and brings up a 2nd and 5.
Second drive of the ball game where the Saints have started in Lynwood territory. First one started on the Lynwood 10, the last drive, and now the 49, and sure makes head coaching a lot easier when you only have 50 yards to go.
Coaches do not complain about that at all. Trips out to the left. Billy Jensen awaiting the snap. He has Parrish in the backfield once again. Long snap count. He finally gets it off, hands it to Parrish, finds room up the middle, and he finds another Interlake first down. This one's going to be at the 38-yard line, a gain of 6. And Interlake moving the chains.
We've heard that Interlake likes to run the ball, and you look at their scores early in the season. 20-12 winners at Foster, 24-8 winners at Ingram, and they put up 32 in a loss to Liberty. They know how to score the ball.
They do, and they know how to run it. And Coach Bankhead was joking with me before the game that he was watching film on that Liberty game. They were down 35-7, and they were still choosing to run more than pass. And said they really like to run in this team.
High snap.
And that might have been, nope, they're going to call it a forward pass. That was close. That was very close to being a backwards pass, which would have been a live ball. And fortunately for the Saints, they get away with one possibly there, and it's going to bring up a 2nd and 10.
I think it had enough juice on it. It was going to bounce on a skip into the Lynwood bench, so I don't think that Lynwood would have had a chance to get to it had it even been a lateral at that point. But
I think it would have just been the difference of a few yards, but you're right. It wouldn't have made much. But at any rate, 2nd and 10, still not the ideal position you want to be in if you're an offensive coordinator, as Jensen awaits the snap.
Lynwood stacking the box here on defense. They bring 2 linebackers to the front.
Going to try to force him. Parrish finally bounces off the middle, swings around to the left, eludes one tackler. He's got some room along the sideline and is finally brought down at the 29-yard line. Very impressed with the way that run went for Parrish. He didn't mean to bounce that one out. He had to. Wanted to dive up the middle there and took a broken play and made it a 9-yard gain.
Initially stopped, and everybody that was stacking the box ended up in one place, and as soon as the swarm disbanded, they didn't have the ball carrier. Parrish was outside, and he's only 5'6", a bitty guy. He certainly turned corner to the left and made hay, 8 yards.
A nice run for him, and he's back behind Jensen one more time. Jensen calling out the signals. And we've got movement all over. Parrish flinched. That was one. And then also Brandon Galland, the wide receiver, lined way out to the right, also took off. And that's going to result in a 5-yard penalty against the Saints. And all of a sudden, a 3rd and 2 becomes a 3rd and 7. And that changes your play call probably a bit, I would think.
Well, I would say it would. Most teams are going to go back into a passing game and try to get either a little bubble screen or a little slant over the middle to pick up those 7 yards. I'm not sure Ingram subscribes to that.
That's a good point. They might just run it anyway. 3rd and 2 is looking a lot more promising for them, though. I can guarantee you that they wanted that.
Got a wide porch out to the right. Let's see if Parrish chooses to go that direction.
And we've got a pass. Overthrown. Graham got his hand on that ball. Looked like he had a shot at it for a moment. Ball was intended for number 26, Nikia Harmer. Harmer just a little bit out of his reach there. As soon as we say that this team likes to run, they throw a little slant pass over the middle.
Harmer not a huge guy, 5'9". They got him listed as a $135. But he would have had to have been about 6'9" in order to have a chance at that. Well overthrown.
Boy, a $135. I don't know if I want to go over the middle if I'm a $135, but hey, you're the player. You do what the coach tells you, right?
Absolutely. So after a 6-play drive, they get 23 yards, but have to punt it away.
Jason Rodriguez, who all of a sudden has the ball snapped over his head. We know he can take off and run if he needs to. Let's see if he tries to punt it away. He does not. Eludes a couple tacklers at the 35 and is wrapped up at the 43-yard line. That is a loss of 19 yards on the play. A big turnaround there as Interlake was about to punt the ball and potentially pin Lynwood back deep in their own field, and instead, Lynwood has the ball on the Interlake side of the field.
What an opportunity now for the Royals with 9:09 to go second quarter. They have the ball inside enemy territory for only the second time. First time, as soon as they crossed midfield, they drifted back after a penalty call. We'll see if they can clean the sheet up here just a little bit on the penalties and get something going.
Yeah, Cachopo hands off to Hammond, and again, another penalty thrown right into the middle of the line. And that generally means an offensive hold of some sort as we await the call. The referee's having a little conference right now. One ref is already ready to walk backwards, and sure enough, they do call a holding against Lynwood. Very similar to the last drive. You just mentioned that. They get on the Interlake side of the field, and all of a sudden, a play later, they are back in their own territory again. Let's see if they can do a little more with it on this drive. 9:03 to go here in the half. Interlake still leading 7-0 thanks to a Billy Jensen 1-yard touchdown run in the first quarter. A drive that was set up by a 35-yard punt return down to the 10-yard line by Jason Rodriguez. Cachopo back in shotgun formation, and 3 flags fly this time. False start.
So tough when you have to think it's fixable things that could get you even in this ball game. All it takes is a little concentration, a little focus, and now Bankhead, I think Coach Bankhead for the Royals wants to see what he can do to eliminate some of these errors, but they're going to have to do it in short order.
They're going to need to regroup here a little bit. 1st and 25. We'll take a quick break as well. You are watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
People assume quality car insurance has to cost more. People assume too much. The truth is, drivers who switched to Allstate last year saved money and got better protection. So get the facts, because you know what they say about people who assume. They pay more for car insurance than you and me.
The Allstate Insurance Agency of Jeff Smar is a proud sponsor of Wesco Athletics. Located in Northwest Bothell, Jeff's office services many areas including Lynwood, Edmonds, Bothell, and Mill Creek. Contact Jeff for a quote at 425-949-7103 or email jeffsmar@allstate.com. And here we go, 1st and 25. Hammond takes the handoff. Bounces off one tackler, would-be tackler, I should say, as well as a Lynwood Royal blocker. Finally busts it out to the right-hand side a little bit. Picks up, well, we'll call it 4 yards. Still looking at a 2nd and 21 for the Royals, who trail 7-0 with 8.5 minutes to go in the half.
And you're back on your own side of the football field. Now, right now, you're going to have to pick up big chunks in order to get the drive reignited. You're going to have to try something. You're going to have to take a few chances here.
Yeah, a holding penalty as well as a false start back-to-back, really pinning the Royals into a not-so-ideal situation with a 1st and 25. It's now 2nd and 21, and it's going to be worse. Cachopo fumbles the ball, a scramble for it.
Well, that's the last thing you need if you're Lynwood.
Well, they did get it back, so there is a positive, albeit not much of one, but they're not giving the ball to Interlake on the wrong side of the field. Going to lose about 3 yards on that play, and Cachopo and the rest of that Royal offense dodging a bullet there. That could have been much worse. 3rd and 23 is no easy task either, but we do know that this team has some firepower down the field. Cachopo can throw. He's got the receivers, and look out maybe for Trung over here close to us here on the near side of the field. You've got Graham far left, Youngman in the slot. He's always dangerous. Let's see what they elect to do here. And he's looking in the direction of Graham. He catches the ball in the 49. And you are something else there, Keith Neely. You just said a moment ago, I don't know that you want to throw too much at Riley Schroeder, and that's exactly what they did. And guess what?
I'm impressed with the sophomore. I like the way he comes off the line. I like the way he jams receivers. He's obviously quick. We saw that on his pursuit. I don't remember if it was Jungman who caught the football out here on the flat and turned the corner.
Hammond, who was a big load to bring down, yeah.
And it was bing bang. It didn't take very long, and as soon as he caught that football, Schroeder was on him. So Yeah, that kid definitely has some cornerback in his future. He's only a sophomore.
Actually a junior. I will correct you on that one. But yeah, you're right. Horner with another fairly high punt. First couple of punts in the game were a little more line drive types, and they gave Rodriguez a better chance at a return. This one, not so much. It's going to roll down and stop on the 24-yard line. A gain of 28 on the punt. 6:34 to go in the half. Interlake 7, Lynwood 0. We'll keep it right here, and we want to thank one of our sponsors, Red Onion Burgers. Sean Richards and the company watching us tonight from Red Onion. I got a text from Sean a few minutes ago saying that he could hear us. He texted Teresa Whipple to let us know.
I hope he can see us, too.
He can hear us. He can see us. Sean, wave at us on the TV right now if you can. And one of these days I told Sean we got to get the Red Onion Burger mascot over here. I wouldn't say we're going to make him the player of the game, but he should be in here, win the player of the game, giving away the T-shirt. And I don't know if he can fit through the door. That might be a challenge, but it could be fun. Hey, another handoff for Parrish, and Youngman wraps him up, but he breaks free.
And
Parrish sweeping out to the left, gets to the 29, cuts it back again. Nice spin move, nice 2 spin moves before he is drilled down by number 58.
That's Joe McKay.
Joe McKay putting a hard hit on Parrish.
Boy, it feels like we're watching a Madden game, the way Parrish runs. You know, you're hitting every button known to man on the little controller, and the little guy's doing everything he can, and that's exactly what Parrish looked like at that time. Boy, a spin move, a juke, a hesitation, a left and a right, finally a breakout, and he paid for his antics that time. McKay leveled him, but boy, huge pickup, excellent run by the star running back.
Yeah, great play by Parrish, and yeah, not too many guys breaking out of tackles from Lucas Youngman like that. Jensen's going to attempt to pass this time, threw it out into the flat, over the head of Harmer. That's going to land incomplete for a 2nd and 10. And yeah, hey, we give Joe McKay his props for the hit, but really Parrish, wow, this kid is impressive. Looked as though he was going to be brought down for about a 3-yard loss.
That's not the first time
that
we've seen him get out of trouble.
Jensen in shotgun formation has 3 receivers out to the right-hand side. Parrish in the backfield one more time. 5:55 going here in the second quarter. Jensen takes the shotgun snap. Hands off to Parrish. Parrish once again wrapped up. This time he's going nowhere. Alton Hammond says, you know what? I'm putting 2 hands on you on this one, and you are going down. Brings him down at the 32-yard line for a loss of 5. It's going to bring up 3rd and 15.
We credit Parrish with his running, and you have to do that. The kid's he's got the wherewithal to do exactly what he's shown, but you have to go back to the defense of Lynwood and say, what have we done all week in practice? What have we done since the season started? And that is learn how to tackle. Open field tackle, gang tackling, rallying to the football. All those things are part of this.
3rd and 15 coming up. 5:13 showing on the clock, and a draw play. Parrish takes the handoff. Katzenberger had him by the foot for a minute. He finds some space. He's still going. Gets out to the right-hand side. Breaks through from Youngman, and he's tackled by the shoestrings by Hammond at the 28-yard line. There is a penalty flag down back at the 39 of Interlake, so this one might be coming back. Either way, wow, Mr. Parrish, you are something else. Katzenberger had him by the foot, waiting for help apparently, and wasn't getting it from the other Royals, and by the time they got there, it was too late. He broke free. The play's coming back, as it is called holding against Interlake, but man, that was quite the run by Parrish.
I don't know if they grease pigs at the fair anymore, but boy, growing up in Eastern Washington, they did, put the Crisco on the pork and run it around the infield of the fairgrounds, and
that'd be a fun halftime
you watch
show, by the
20
way.
Kids run after a greased pig. That's what it looks like right there. Boy, he can get loose.
We should do that at halftime one of these
We
games.
should.
It'd be a fun event.
It would be fun.
Not with Parrish, but we'll actually use a pig. So it does bring up a 3rd and 17 back on the 30.
I don't know how the animal rights folks would think about that.
we might,
we'll figure something.
Yeah, we've got some time. We're not going to do that tonight, so we've got another 7 days.
Maybe it's
Stay
another
tuned.
use for the Red Onion mascot.
Yeah, I would pay to see that. I'm not sure Sean Richards would enjoy that. They're going to pass this time. Jensen floats one down the right sideline. Penalty flags everywhere, as that was intended for number 7, Golland. Golland, unfortunately for him, had Carson Horner's hands all over him. Number 21, the Lynwood Royals corner. I think that's going to be called against the men in black here.
I think you're right, Steve. And it was bump and grind the whole way. Both receiver and cornerback were physical on that route, but when you get deep into routes, they're going to give the benefit to the receiver 9 times out of 10. I think that's exactly what happened on that play.
Absolutely. Hey, this is interesting too. It's unlike some of the other higher levels of football. Not an automatic first down. It was 3rd and 17. So it brings up a 3rd and 2. So not an automatic first down by any means for Interlake. They still need to earn it.
Big 3rd down. It seems to be stalled in the middle of the field for both teams now, between the 40s. Neither the Saints nor the Royals have done much at midfield.
Jensen awaiting the shotgun formation. 4:54 to go here in the half. Interlake with a 7-0 lead. Jensen keeping it and not finding much room at all as Big Joe McKay coming through one more time. And that is a wrinkle we haven't seen much of today. Jensen keeping the ball. He is their second leading rusher, and he's a player that they've used a lot in the run game this year so far. However, that was really the first time tonight we've seen a play designated for him. It wasn't a broken play. They just had him take off around that right side, but McKay was waiting.
McKay did everything right. Shoved off the first attempted blocker and just slid right down to his left, made one move to his left, and just met the ball carrier. It wasn't going to be anything he had to do other than just wrap up and drag down, and he did it perfectly.
Rodriguez back to punt. This time it goes to him and not over his head. Gets off a nice kick. Richard Trung back there on the 25. He fields it, does not call a fair catch, and cannot break away from the first tackler. That is Kyle DeBrun, number 8. DeBrun making the tackle. A loss of 3 yards for Trung on the return. And that is where Lynwood will start over on their own 22-yard line. With 4 minutes to go in the half, they're trailing by 7, but there's plenty of time here with 78 yards to go. And, hey, we want to say a quick hello to Raynette Lorenzo. She's following the Royals on Twitter right now. And she wants to give a special shout-out to the Kirkman boys tonight. Already seen Mike in there making a few plays.
It's hard not to give a shout-out to him. I think we've done the same thing.
Yeah, that is a name that we will be calling off and on throughout the night. So we appreciate Raynette watching us on the Sound Live Sports Network. Cachopo hands it off. That's Hammond one more time. Hammond barreling through the middle there as he spun out of one tackler, broke away from another, and is finally brought down at the 30-yard line, a gain of 7.
Right now, if you're Lynwood, you've got to play mistake-free football over the last 340. Get positive yards if you can on every single down. And I bet you're going to get a good result at the other side. Really haven't played horrible football.
No.
Aside from some penalties. And the penalties that have happened have either been back-to-back and hurt you or been really crucial ones. On the Hammond run, it cost you a touchdown.
And a couple of sacks have killed off some drives as well as they do a bubble screen now. That's Graham over on the left-hand side. Breaks through. He's still running, but is finally pushed out of bounds at the 39-yard line. A gain of 9 and another Royals first down.
And exactly what the doctor ordered. You don't have to burn the entire 3:17 o'clock here, but get out of bounds, set things up, get some good instruction from your coaching staff on the sidelines, and attack another first down.
I've got breaking news out of Red Onion Burger. They were waving at us a minute ago. They saw us. And Sean says he's going to try to get the mascot here next week, so we're going to have some fun. Hey, Hammond with another run right up the middle. Not much room this time. Might have picked up 2 yards. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 8. Clock showing 3:06. Again, plenty of time. You don't have to rush things yet, and certainly Lynwood knows that, and they're not doing that. They're going to stick to their standard offensive calls here, huddle up like they normally would, and hopefully get down the field and get on the board before the half.
Dapa's back in the ball game in the tailback spot. Right behind Cachopo.
He's got Youngman and Graham out to the left. He's going to throw to the right, however. Bubble screen to Carson. Carson, Horner getting around that corner, but is brought down by number 10.
David Jones. And I am really impressed by the cornerback and the defensive backs, all of them. Not just Riley Schroeder, but David Jones. And you also have Jason Rodriguez, who was on that side. And all 3 of those guys, marvelous tonight in coverage.
Yeah, Rodriguez doing a little bit of everything. He's all over the field there. He's the punter, he's the punt returner, and he's out there making plays as well. The rain is starting to come down fairly heavily again now. That might change the complexion of this game moving forward. We know Lynwood likes to pass. See if that changes any of the play calling later on if the rain, in fact, continues to come down. And as soon as I say that, they try for the screen. And that might have affected Cachopo there as that ball sailed out of his hands and well over the head of Bobby Graham. It's going to bring up a 4th down.
Cachopo had no time to set up a screen. Usually on a screen you want to drift back 5 to 7 yards and really sell the long ball and let the ends come in almost 10 yards deep. That time they were in the backfield so fast that Cachopo did not have time to set up his running back coming out to pick up that screen and just had to fire it over the top of his receiver. A good play, good heads-up play by Cachopo, just not to turn the ball over.
So that will bring on the punt team one more time. 1:53 to go here in the half. Lynwood trailing 7-0, and they are about to give the ball back to Interlake. And this is a little bit interesting as Rodriguez back to return again, and this time David Jones lined up downfield to act as an up back for him and potentially block, and we do get a penalty flag thrown here at the snap.
Boy, the heavens have opened up. My goodness, in the last minute and a half, it's gone from dry to an absolute downpour.
In Seattle? No. This is September weather, and this is what you get, isn't it?
This is what you expect. It certainly hasn't been that case. And look what we have here. That goes against the Saints. We'll see if it's enough for a 1st down.
I haven't seen the referee signal yet. I thought our PA announcer mentioned it, and sure enough, it is in fact a 1st down. So Lynwood getting a little bit of a gift as they were set up in punt formation with 1:52 to go in the half. They're now at their own 49-yard line with a new set of downs.
And I think mentally that's going to be really important that even if Lynwood doesn't score on this possession, they get down to the 30 or the 20-yard line and just get this monkey of midfield off their back.
Youngman in motion. Hammond still in the backfield. We've yet to see Katzenberger back there since he went to the locker room. Hammond looking for some room along the left-hand side. Penalty flag is down. I think we're going to get a hold called against the Royals.
Another hold,
But the question becomes, if you are Interlake, do you take the 3-yard loss or do you take the holding call?
Same place behind the play.
Well, and they're going to throw the flag down 3 yards behind as well, so I think you do take the flag. It's probably going to be a loss of 13.
But another one of those plays where the hold is actually behind the ball carrier. It's unnecessary. And the call with Jungman after he went around, Hammond, who went in for the touchdown, was a similar place where it was 10 yards behind the ball carrier at the time the flag came out. So at that point in time, you got to just be aware of your surroundings if you're a lineman.
And not only behind the play, but really he was running out to the left, leaving the lineman behind him. So really he was running away from where the hold took place.
Exactly
so
my point, yes.
You're right. So double trouble in that one. You're not only are you behind, but you're in the wrong direction. No need to do that. 1st and 23 coming up here. Cachopo back to pass one more time. Looking for Graham, another slant pattern. Second time we've seen them try that in the last 3 offensive plays. Overthrew him the first time. This time throws it behind him.
Threw it behind him, and the one time that Riley Schroeder for the Saints was a bit behind on the play, happened to be right there in the right spot, but he also couldn't turn around in time because it was so far behind the play.
And for Cachopo, a guy who we've seen be spot on a lot of his passes over the last few weeks, struggling a little bit here, and the one difference between those games, it's raining right now. So
and he's getting a lot of pressure on him. I'm sure he's feeling that, not only just the wet ball, but he's hearing and feeling footsteps.
Absolutely. Hits Lucas Youngman downfield. Youngman tackled at the 47-yard line, a gain of 17 yards.
Huge play.
It's going to bring up a 3rd and 6, and Youngman with his 2nd catch of the night, a guy who is used to making huge plays. Saw him catch 2 touchdown passes against Shorecrest here 2 weeks ago. And Youngman doing his part to dig the Royals out of a bit of a hole. They go from 2nd and 23 to 3rd and 6. Clock now showing 57 seconds left in the half.
And as much as you'd love the equalizer, if you're Lynwood right here, going to the locker room tied at 7, I think mentally for these guys, you've just got to get close. And I think if you can sniff at it in this half, you'll be able to get there in the second.
Going for the bomb here down the sideline. He's got Trung incomplete. Nice defense there by Jason Rodriguez. Not a lot of room for Richard Trung to make that play. Ball hits the turf, and we're going to look at a 4th and 6 now.
The ball was out of bounds when it was touched, so it would not have been serviceable had it been in. And a big 4th down. Lynwood doesn't want to risk it at this point with 37 seconds to go.
Yeah, Horner back to punt one more time. And really, if you're Lynwood, you know that Rodriguez has big punt return play capabilities. He's had a 35-yard return and a 26-yard return. I might just kick this one out of bounds with 37 seconds.
Or boot it over his head. That'll get the
works
job
too.
done.
It's something that we haven't seen a lot of tonight. Horner kicks that one into the end zone, a 47-yard punt. It's going to come out to the 20, though. 30 seconds to go here in the half. We will keep it right here. Interlake 7, Lynwood 0. And if you are Interlake, you are not exactly built for a 2-minute offense or, for that matter, a 30-second offense.
No, this is their 6th drive of the half. That's a lot of drives and a half, but it also means you're probably getting a lot of 3-and-outs.
Yeah, the point being, though, that I don't know if you're going to try to air it up too much and make any mistakes. I think you might just be content with a 7-0 lead, or perhaps hand it off to Parrish, hope he breaks one, and maybe you get a long gainer here right before the end of the half and get another score on the board.
Boy, that's about as equally equal to a Hail Mary, unless you put it on the deck.
Jensen very wisely falls on that one. The snap, it was in shotgun formation, comes back to him at his feet, rolls to him, and rather than try to make a spectacular play this close to the end of the half, he elects to just fall on that ball. Clock continues to run here. 13 seconds to go in the half.
You don't have to snap the ball at this point if you don't want to.
Just going to say the exact same thing, and quite frankly, if I'm Interlake, I don't know that I do.
No,
4 seconds now.
Get into the locker room, get dry, get warm.
Get as dry as you can anyway, right?
Regroup and come back at. You got a 7-0 lead right now. Your defense is held steady. Why not?
Yeah, and that is it. So we're going to take a quick break right now. Your score here at the half, the Interlake Saints 7, the Lynwood Royals 0. We're coming at you from rainy Edmond Stadium. You are watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
Welcome to Northwest Best, brought to you by Smart Service Subaru. Here's your host, Mike Halsey.
We're back at the Red Onion in Mount Lake Terrace, and I'm with the owner, Sean, and the food here is absolutely terrific. The burgers are made with 100% beef, made to order with fresh ingredients. And you're involved in a lot of community projects.
Yes, Mike, we are. With the help of our loyal customers, we're able to give back to our community. Such as we take 100 kids shopping with cops and join us for our terrific Tuesday fundraisers. Join us
at Red Onion Burger.
And thank you for watching.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
Are you a whiz in filmmaking? Do you want to become extraordinary in filmmaking? Then come to Shoreline Community College and work with Shoreline Productions, where you will learn to transform your work in teams of working professionals and students to create enchanting effects such as green screen, text animation, and so much more. So come to Shoreline Community College, where you can mystify and dazzle in filmmaking.
Hey sports fans, do you want to know when and where your favorite teams in the West Coast Conference are playing? Who won the game last night and what the current standings are? Well, it's easy to find out on westcoathletics.com. The information is entered by athletic directors and coaches, so you know it's accurate and up to date, making westcoathletics.com the place to view official scores, schedules, standings, and photos for all the schools and all the sports in the West Coast Conference. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and check out westcoathletics.com, the official website of the West Coast Conference.
And welcome back. Your halftime score on the Action. And we are back again. Your halftime score here, Interlake 7, Lynwood 0. A very rainy night all of a sudden here at Edmonds Stadium, and that might make for a very interesting second half of play as both teams struggling on offense to get anything going. Maybe we'll even throw in a few fumbles now if this keeps up.
I think it solidifies things more than anything. I think you've seen what Interlake can do as far as run the football. Parrish is pretty much everything he needs to be right now for that squad, and he is able to break one or two it could be very much the difference in the ballgame in a couple of big plays. On the other hand, I think Lynwood's been flirting back and forth with trying to figure out what works. Passing game hasn't necessarily been electric. I think right now it solidifies their running game, and perhaps you're going to see a lot more Kirkman in the backfield as he comes out after, I don't know if it was an injury or if it was a helmet problem, but I think you're going to see that boy back in and run the football.
Yeah, and the injury you might be referring to is the Katzenberger injury.
Katzenberger,
I'm
sorry.
Yeah, Katzenberger, very interestingly, left the game, came back onto the field, and is playing defense now, but we have not seen him on offense since the first quarter.
Yeah,
and which is a little bit odd because, as you mentioned, he's been a focal point of their offense, I was going to say all season, but really for a couple of seasons now. And that's a guy that you want running the ball in a tight game like this, especially if this rain keeps up. It could become a smash mouth game, and you want your 220-pound bruiser to start running people over and to help you get in the end zone once or twice.
Especially if a lot of those defensive linemen can't get up off a wet turf, and get a foothold. Maybe you've got an advantage, gets through that first line, which Lynwood has had trouble getting through the first four, the down linemen, into the backfield. Maybe that starts to happen more for Lynwood. It's hard to say, but 124, I think, total yards between the two teams. I think that many yards has been called back in penalties. So it's been a bit sloppy, not just because of the weather, but because of the football loss.
Well, and let's look at some of those yards here. So total yards of offense, 65 to Lynwood, 59 to Interlake. And as you mentioned, Keith, that equals 124 yards of total offense.
That's two teams.
Yeah, for two teams in one half. That's you don't see that very often. I mean, even we called a game here a few weeks ago in which Lynwood beat Stanwood 6-0, and at the very least, both of those teams were moving up and down the field on one another. We're not seeing that much tonight. So both teams having their troubles. Interlake averaging 3.1 yards per play. Lynwood even worse at 2.4 yards per play. And just to go over some of the other stats, Interlake thus far thrown 4 passes, 4 incompletions. Lynwood, Cachopo, he's completing the passes. He's 9 for 12, 9 completions for 40 yards. So it's just a little over 4 yards per completion. So yeah, I mean, and we mentioned it earlier. He's trying to get the bubble screens going, not having a lot of time to set up. And like you mentioned during the broadcast in the second quarter, a few of those passes were forced because he didn't have the time.
A couple of bright spots that I see. I thought that the special teams for the Saints was marvelous.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got a couple guys back there that can, either one of them can run the football very well. Rodriguez being the one that got, I think, 45 yards on one.
35 and 26 on back-to-backs, yeah.
On back-to-back kick or punt returns, and one of them set up the only score of the ball game, and that's the 1-yard dash by Parrish into the end zone. So actually, it wasn't Parrish. That was
it was Jensen, the quarterback.
That just kind of tiptoed around the right or left end and went in. But if it wasn't for special teams, I don't think we have any score right now.
Absolutely not, and that's just it. When they scored that touchdown, it was a 5-yard drive. It was their third drive of the game for Interlake at that point. Through 3 drives, they had 7 points off of 8 total yards of offense. In a 7-0 game, that's a pretty big deal. So if you've got Rodriguez who can get you a 35-yard punt return down to the 10-yard line, and then a play later, Lynwood jumps off sides to put Interlake at the 5-yard line before they've taken an offensive snap, that's a good recipe for a win if you get a game like this where points are at a premium. And you mentioned it during the break. Would it be a shocker at this point if it ends 7-0? Possibly. I'm not going to say that I'm going to predict that at this point, but this is certainly a game where one or two more scores could be it. So it's crucial. And if you can get a guy like Rodriguez returning punts 35 yards and 26 yards at a time, that's going to go a long way.
It will certainly help you. I think one of the positives for Lynwood, they're involving a lot of people. You've got a lot of people in the backfield. You've got a lot of receivers that have been targeted. And big plays come from a lot of different people. And as much as you talk about having Katzenberger back in, he's certainly one of those big play guys. Jungman can certainly do it. Tron can do it. You've got a lot of kids out there for Lynwood that Cachopo's involving.
Yeah.
And I think one of them, you don't know who it's going to be, but might as well test the waters, right?
And I think you just read my mind because that was my very next point. 9 pass completions by Cachopo to 6 different receivers so far. So just to go over those stats, Lucas Youngman, 2 catches, 25 yards. Bobby Graham, 2 catches for 7 yards. Trung has 1 catch for 5 yards. Hammond, 1 for 2 yards. Carson Horner, 2 catches for 2 yards. And then Katzenberger had a catch that went for a negative yard. Again, not a lot of yards there, but you're right. They're getting everybody involved, and that's been kind of their MO this year. That's the way they've done things when they've at least thrown the ball around. they make sure that they get everybody going out there. They run a lot of 3-4 receiver sets, and if you're a defense, it doesn't enable you to queue on 1 or 2 guys because you have to account for everybody, and that's a good sign moving forward. When these guys being the Saints, are trying to figure out what they're going to do on the defensive side of things at halftime and the adjustments they're going to make, they can't just say, watch Youngman out there, watch Graham out there, watch Trung out there. You got to watch everybody.
But you can if you get pressure to the quarterback.
Absolutely.
And right now, that's what's happening. That's why you're only seeing 2 and 3 and 4 yards. I'd love to see Cachopo with another second and a half to step back in the pocket and really test these defensive backs for the Saints. I'm impressed with them. Don't get me wrong. I think they're quality defensive backs. Perhaps they haven't been tested over the middle, but we may not know if the front line doesn't hold for
because right now Schroeder, Rodriguez, Jones, they all look like they're all league players, but are they all league players because their defensive front is not giving Cachopo more than a second or 2 to throw? And on the other side of things, Joe McKay having himself one heck of a game. We saw a big stick on Parrish, and then he wrapped him up one other time. Or no, I take that back. He wrapped up Jensen as Jensen was trying to quarterback keep out on the third and short. Got him for a loss. And then Katzenberger's making some plays. Not a big surprise there, but he just comes out here every week and just tackles whoever's in front of him.
It could be 42-7 by the end of this thing. It could be 7-0, exactly where we are here at halftime. Hard to tell.
Well, you know what? I will say this. 3 weeks ago at halftime, the score was 6-0, Lynwood over Stanwood, and I think I came on the air and jokingly said, well, we know one thing for sure. There will be more points in the second half than there were in the first half. And they didn't score at all. So you never know, but you're right. We might see a huge an explosion of offense here, or we may not. But that's why you're watching. That's why you tune in, and we hope you continue to do so. So our score at halftime of an exciting game, a close game, Interlake 7, Lynwood 0. Hey, this is the Action Jackson Plumbing halftime show, and you are watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
Welcome to Northwest Best, brought to you by Smart Service Subaru. Here's your host, Mike Halsey.
We're back at the Red Onion in Mountlake Terrace, and I'm with the owner, Sean, and the food here is absolutely terrific. The burgers are made with 100% beef, made to order with fresh ingredients. And you're involved in a lot of community projects.
Yes, Mike, we are. With the help of our loyal customers, we're able to give back to our community. Such as we take 100 kids shopping with cops and join us for our terrific Tuesday fundraisers. Join us
at Red Onion Burger.
And thank you for watching.
Welcome back on the Sound Live Sports Network. We're at the half, the Action Jackson Plumbing halftime program. And at the half, 7-0, Interlake, the Saints, over the Lynwood Royals in a almost a battle of attrition right now. There have been more punts than first downs in the first half on the opener here of a doubleheader.
More punts than first downs, more punts than points. We've got a little bit of everything, so we're getting everything except for guys running into the end zone. We did get Alton Hammond with a touchdown run, but that was called back, a long one at that. But other than that, there hasn't been much action outside of from goal line to goal line.
Penalties have certainly been a problem. However, you have not had any turnovers. And really, one big play that I would count as a big play. Normally you get 5, 6 big plays in a ball game that can really turn the tide. And I think that was the 35-yard punt return that set up the first touchdown. But aside from that, really nothing has gotten outside the wings. You had a very nice run by Parrish, 2 or 3. One, of course, that I think about where he squirted through the middle, ended up having to break it outside, then crossed all the way back across the field and ended up being called back for a penalty, but it was a marvelous run. That certainly would have considered that a big play. But Stevie, going to come down to a big play. I think it's going to come down to a turnover, one of the two.
No, I agree. And the funny thing about Parrish is that they've only got 59 yards of total offense for Interlake. I think there's been a few plays where Parrish has run more than 59 yards on a play, only to pick up 1 or 2 yards here and there. So he's certainly doing his part. Unfortunately for him, a lot of the runs are east-west more than they're north-south.
Yep. And this means something for Lynwood. They haven't really found themselves in the top 3 of the Wesco before. This is some rare air. You can imagine that Coach Bankhead would really love to get the W here. Does not count against the Wesco, the league standings, but certainly heading into a week from today, and we'll get the Lynwood schedule out here. It will matter.
Yeah, I believe they've got their homecoming game coming up shortly here. Oh, I guess they're playing Edmonds Woodway's homecoming next week. Yeah, and then they've got Meadowdale and Mount Lake Terrace the following 3 weeks. So 3 teams that are battling with them to be in that top 3, which is where you need to be to make the playoffs this year. Glacier Peak and Meadowdale both 2-0 right now in conference and playing each other tonight. If you're Lynwood, yeah, you definitely want to get a little bit of momentum going. You mentioned this game doesn't count in the standings, but certainly you want to just get that winning vibe going here. You're a team that started off last season 0-8, and now you've won 4 of your last 5 games. Winning's contagious. It's something that
feels so good.
It feels so good, and to get a little taste of that, and once you've had it, you want more. And certainly they'd like to get this W on in the win column tonight and get ready for Edmonds Woodway next week.
Boy, the ebb and flow of high school sports over the course of a career, from freshman to senior, you see it in every school. Even the powerhouse schools will have down years. Lynwood really could use one up year. You watch this community just jump at the same way they did when their girls basketball team made it all the way into the state playoffs. Of course, ranked number 1 in the state for a long, long time, and the gym is packed and the community is electric. And boy, if you're a player, you feel that. You know what's happening. You feel the vibe, and winning, boy, it matters.
And this is a team on the rise. This is a team that has the numbers this year, more so than they've had in years past. And you start to look at some of the underclassmen that are within the program. They had a freshman team that lost only 1 game last year. Those guys are sophomores right now. Some of them are out here playing, but some of them are not. They're playing at the JV level. And I know if you're Coach Bankhead, you're a first-year official head coach. You were the interim co-head coach last year. Right. For him to take over this year as a first-year coach, quote-unquote, he's not coming in with an empty cupboard. He's feeling pretty good about his situation, and they've got some continuity. He brought back a lot of the assistant coaches from last year. The kids are starting to recognize what he expects from them. They're starting to learn the offenses that they're calling.
Well, that's just it. You learn everything in practice. Boy, we come in as a senior with a new head coach. It's tough. You're certainly going to learn football skills. You're going to learn the basics. You're going to know all that stuff going in. But to learn the intricacies of an offense and how it works and how it jives with all the other players on the field is tough when you only have 1 year in a program.
Yeah, and that was the other point I was going to make, is that he's a defensive-minded coach himself. He's been a D coordinator in the past. So really they're running the same defense they've been running for a while now. They started to implement a new offense late in the season last year. Their 3 highest scoring games of the year in 2013 were their final 3 games, right about the time they started to run that new offense, which they've brought over into 2014. Struggling with it tonight, but it's certainly, you can tell at the very least that the players out there are familiar with it. They know what they're doing. It's just a matter of executing right now. But Cachopo, he's an experienced quarterback. If you can get Katzenberger back in there, he's had plenty of carries in his career. Hammond's starting to get there now. This is a team that, like I said, they're on the rise. And do I think they're going to win Wesco 3A South this year? Probably not, but they're certainly going to finish a lot higher than they have in the last decade or so.
Well, that's a whole nother ball game when you're going from the 4A and you're having to play a lot of those tough teams, both in the North and South divisions, and your non-league games are against tough 3A schools. Now you get to drop down a little bit. You have a couple of teams that, one, you've already beat. You've already beat Shorecrest 55-0. Shorewood is struggling right now. They have not won a ball game in conference, so they're 0-2 in the South. So those 2 teams, maybe you can beat up on a little bit, but you still have to vault over Meadowdale and Mount Lake Terrace and Edmonds Woodway. You've already seen what Glacier Peak can offer. So I think you're better off. I think you're going to have some more success. You're going to be able to cruise a little bit in some places during the season.
Well, and yes and no, because the thing is that this is a conference and this is a division where I think the lesser teams are probably more so than the 4A schools. The Shorewoods and the Shorecrest have really struggled, and they're not going to win too many games this year. But really, the top 5 teams in this South division right now, I think there's every bit as good as
a lot of the 4A
the second, third, and fourth place teams in the 4A level. I mean, Lake Stevens is a powerhouse.
Absolutely.
After that, it's a huge drop at 4A right now. So Lynwood might have even walked into a tougher situation this year.
And Lynwood will get the kick after kicking off in the first half, and they'll do so on their first possession at the 20-yard line. And they'll see what they can get started here in the second half. 7-0 the score after the Action Jackson Plumbing halftime program. We start a new 12 on the clock. Third quarter here at Edmonds District Stadium. Keith Neely and Steve Willits with you on the Sound Live Sports Network. We thank you for being along. Awful fun to be under the lights on Friday night. And now we'll see what Cachopo and company can do. And
nice tackle by Ethan Fleming, by the way, number 23, stopping Trung in his tracks. One-man tackle there.
First down and 10 yards to go on the 20-yard line. And it is a run straight ahead. And they will give it to Kirkman. Mike Kirkman once again, the sophomore, with a power right up the middle for 6 yards.
I think Raynette Lorenzo, who's following us on Twitter tonight and watching online, she's a big fan of the Kirkman boys. I'm sure Raynette loved that play, and I think we might see a little more Kirkman in the second half. You called that at halftime.
And after 65 yards of total offense, Lynwood with a fifth of that and one carry. Second down and 3 yards to go. Ball on the 27, a little bit of a high snap. Kirkman with the ball. He'll get through to the first down and then some. Still on the move after a second effort, crosses the 40-yard line. It's a pickup of about 15 yards.
And that was actually Alton Hammond on the play. So they went back to Hammond on that play. So two backs in the backfield again. We started to see that early in the second quarter, and then they went away from it. We've got Hammond back there. We've got Kirkman, and so far one carry for each of them.
3 wideouts, 2 in the backfield. And Cachopo with the shotgun. He'll hand off to the left-hand side this time. Hammond still on his feet. Breaks a 2 tackle. 1 high, 1 low, and ends up scooting across midfield. We'll see where they mark it. Indeed, it's at the 50.
Scooting and sliding. That turf is getting pretty slick right now as Hammond started to lose his footing, just dove forward and then slid a couple of yards. Unfortunately, the couple of yards don't count, but at any rate, he gets to the 50-yard line.
Style points, Steve. Style points.
Big-time style points there.
Second down and 2 on the midfield stripe. Cachopo misdirects the handoff. I think a lot of confusion in the backfield as all 3 back there just stood and looked at each other for about a second and a half, and that cost them a down.
Yeah, they're running a little bit of a read option right now where, or like you said, at least you've got the double option to where you've got 2 running backs in the backfield. You can either fake to the one or have them or hand it to them on the dive. And I don't think any of the 3 players knew what they were doing there, as there was a massive confusion as Kirkman and Hammond ended up in the same place at the same time.
Third down now and a missed snap. That almost cost you a possession. At the high snap, Hammond finally is able to draw an eyeball on it, falls back to the 40-yard line. So just as a little mojo was working for the Royals, it all comes undone in 2 plays, and now you're back to punt formation. Unfortunate.
Yeah, deja vu from the first half. You moved down the field, and then you moved back again, and a long drive that took a few minutes off the clock only gets you 15 yards total.
And punt out of bounds at the 30-yard line. There will be no return. Trying to keep it out of the hands of Jason Rodriguez. Wisely, in my opinion, as he hurts you a little bit. The only player really to do a whole lot of damage, and he's done it all on all-purpose yardage.
He has only a 28-yard punt, which normally you would say, that's not a very good thing, but if it means keeping the ball out of Rodriguez's hands, you might take a 28 net.
Yeah, the net may be there. 9:02 to go, third quarter. Back into the ball game, Billy Jensen at quarterback for the Saints. And the ball placed on the 32-yard line. And once again, it's
fumble.
It's Parrish, and I think he lost the football on the first contact. Lynwood says they have it. Will unravel the pile, and indeed, the Royals come away with the football. First turnover of the ball game after the first play from scrimmage for the Saints in the second half, and they'll give it right back.
Yeah, Parrish losing that ball. It initially shot behind him. I think it hit one of the Royal players in the back and then fired forward again, where a couple of Lynwood secondary players were standing. Couldn't tell if Trung came up with it or maybe it was even Horner, but at any rate, Lynwood football on the 40.
A one-play drive gains them 5 yards, but costs them the football. And now Cachopo gives the handoff left-hand side. It goes to Hammond. Picks up 3. Got a good lead block. The first block was there.
I think the second block was his own guy, unfortunately.
I think it was too. It knocked him to the deck.
Yeah, Mike Kirkman got blocked right in front of Hammond's path, and unfortunately their legs got caught up. Officially in the books, Kirkman doesn't get the tackle, but he certainly assisted on it, and that's just bodies flying all over the place. It happens on a football field.
Harmon Reddick Fields with the tackle, credited with the tackle for the Saints, and it brings up 2nd down and 8. And now another misdirection and a handoff. They are struggling communication-wise. The ball is on the deck. They'll say he's down. And after the football was Reddick Fields once again coming around that right end or that left end. He was the first one to get contact in the backfield, and he's happy as he puts his helmet on and heads to the sideline.
Yeah, Reddick Fields will get credit for that tackle, but really that play was a disaster from the get-go. Cachopo and Hammond trouble with the snap, and I think miscommunication as well, and that play had zero chance from the moment Hammond touched it, and he loses 7 yards on it, and it's going to bring up a 3rd and 15. Once again, Lynwood moving forward and then moving further backwards the very next play.
That's the 3rd time we've seen some hesitation in that backfield. And you don't have a half in the locker room to talk it over. We're in the 3rd quarter, 7:45 to go. You're going to have to get it worked out. Back to pass, pump fake, and lets it fly. Has a man open, almost caught. Intended receiver was Will Douglas, I believe.
That's Richard Trung.
Or is it Trung? Yeah. Excuse me, read the wrong roster.
And Trung got separation from Rodriguez. They were neck and neck as soon as that ball went up in the air.
Not a bad ball either.
No, Trung accelerated, had the ball come right over his shoulder there, just couldn't quite bring it in. That was the play you wanted. You have to make that catch.
I almost think you're going to see a little more of that the longer that this ball game runs. You're going to have to see if you can't break out a big play or two. And a little bit of a sidestep, and the punt is away. Rodriguez takes it in and bubbles it for a moment. Now the 5, gets to the 10, 15, has a little more running room, and now will just step out of bounds at the 25, but another 20-yard return.
Yeah, and you give Rodriguez credit, but at the same time, the Royals have to get down there quicker. Rodriguez dropped the ball initially. He gave you time to come down and get your coverage down the field, and he still picks up 18 yards after fumbling it at the 6. Rodriguez is doing a very nice job on the returns, but he's being aided by the fact that the Royals are giving him a good 8 or 10-yard cushion every time he touches the ball.
So Lynwood can't make good with a turnover handed to him. Now Interlake will try to keep on the ball. There's a penalty flag. We'll see what that means to the field position here. But he had a chance to push Interlake in back toward their own end zone and make a statement there and get some momentum after the fumble. And after a couple of missed plays in the backfield, you kind of scratch your head a little bit.
Yeah, give Rodriguez credit for fielding that at the 6-yard line. A lot of players are told you do not touch it. I think he's got a green light more so than other guys too, though.
Sometimes you just sense that. You got a special player out there, and some kids are just tailor-made for running back punts and kickoffs. Here's the snap. It's a keeper. Met in the backfield. Jensen is dropped. And it's Katzenberger on the stop, and also getting back there was Kudik.
I was just going to say about Katzenberger as well. You know, he's fresher now on defense because he's not taking the offensive plays. So he's helping in that regard. But on offense, I think some of the confusion is because he takes first-string snaps all week. And Cachopo now has Hammond and Kirkman back there, 2 players he probably doesn't work with as much in practice. So you're paying for it on one end, but you're getting dividends on the other as Katzenberger looks like he's ready to go here on defense.
Anchoring right there in the middle linebacker, now back to pass, and that's well overthrown. The intended receiver was Harmer once again, and he was overthrown by 10 yards. And Jensen just left it out there, and he's lucky that wasn't picked off because Trong was right.
It was actually Bobby,
right in the area.
It was Bobby Graham, and I was
there too.
I was going to joke that he was the intended receiver because he didn't come anywhere near Harmer on that play. Graham was the one just playing center field and almost got the first turnover of the game.
Had the safety Graham deep. He had Trong underneath, and any way that ball ended up, it was going to be trouble if it didn't hit the deck. And luckily, it was an incomplete pass for the Saints. 3rd and 18 now. Back to pass goes Jensen. Well back to pass. Little screen underneath. They hit Parrish, and he still on his feet. The guy can move. Now he'll pick up a block and another big block. He'll head around the end. It will be close to a first down. Penalty flags fly.
And I wonder if the referee saw what I saw. That was 21 on 21. Interlake 21 is Jared Sass. Sass came over to throw a block at around the 18-yard line and got Carson Horner right in the back. It was right in front of one of the officials who didn't throw it initially. The other official, I think, saw it, though. That was one of the line judges, threw the flag, and they got Interlake for the illegal block.
Big play. First on offense as Parrish somehow just escapes one tackler after another. You're going to have to bring more than one in open field to tackle Parrish. But then another big play, and that it got immediately erased
Keith,
on the penalty.
That goes back to what you were pointing out earlier. Where that block was thrown, Parrish had already gone by him. He doesn't need to throw the block. Fortunately, if you're a Lynwood Royal, he did because you just got about 30 yards back. But Horner was not going to make that tackle on the play, and these players need to kind of look up, realize where their running back is at, and at some point just pull back.
3rd down, 24 yards to go. 6 minutes left in the 3rd quarter, and here's Parrish. He'll head around the end. There's black jerseys there, and he'll pick up 3. Still on his feet. The ball comes loose. I think he was down. We'll see how the referees unstack this, and it will be 4th down.
Give Interlake a lot of credit. They didn't get much yardage out of it, but that was a beautiful draw. Jensen had me fooled initially. Just kind of very casually stuck his hand out and let Parrish take it right from him. Had Lynwood thrown for a loop there for a moment, and if Parrish had broken away from 1 or 2 more guys, he might still be running. So give them credit for the, calling a play that was very unexpected, and also give Lynwood credit for reading it there and not giving him more than 5 yards.
He is a quick little dude.
It's impressive.
Parrish, 5'6", 170 pounds. He is a senior. And now the punt bounces away. You're going to have to get rid of it into the outstretched arms of the Lake, who is able to at least grab it and keep the safety from happening, but sets up an amazing 1st and goal for the Royals.
Boy, talk about turnabout being fair play here, as Interlake's only score of the game so far was a 5-yard drive. Lynwood has a chance to do them one better. They're going to take over the ball on the 4-yard line. That is the 2nd time tonight that Interlake has had trouble with the long snap. Snapped over Rodriguez's head earlier. Maybe trying to overcompensate now. If you're the long snapper, you're nervous, and this time you undersnap it?
Regardless of what happened there on special team, Lynwood needs to get the touchdown right now. Here's the handoff, 2 yards, and a pile of wet turf. It's Kirkman, left-hand side over tackle, and picks up a yard. 1st and goal, 2nd and goal on the 4.
I keep watching down on the sideline here every time Lynwood has the ball to see what Andrew Katzenberger's doing. He's standing right next to the coaches. He's pacing a little bit. I'll be curious to see if they're going to be tempted to put him in at some point. He looks like he wants some action.
But he will do it from the sideline right now as far as look in. 2 in the backfield for Lynwood. Penalties so far, the bugaboo. Now Cachopo has to pick it up. I think he gets back to the line of scrimmage on the mishandled snap. He's lucky to get that.
He's lucky to have that ball in his hand still. That was not the turnover you would have wanted at that point. His ball bounced back to Cachopo. Not only was he able to come up with it, but as you mentioned, was able to get back to the line of scrimmage. Crisis averted there. That could have been really bad news for the Royals. Fortunately, they keep it at the 3-yard line, and 3rd and goal right here.
very big third down when you're handed a gift like that on the 5. And now Cachopo will hand the ball, loses his lead blocker, but into the end zone. Touchdown Royals. Hammond with the score, looking for the equalizer on the PAT. Big, big score for Lynwood.
I thought that was another confusing handoff there. As initially it looked as though Kirkman might have had the ball. At any rate, Kirkman hit the turf pretty quickly. Couldn't tell if he got his feet caught up with somebody else or what, but he was meant to be the lead blocker. When your lead blocker goes down that quick, it usually means you have to get through one or two extra guys, and Hammond still found his way right up the middle there. Credit the line for giving him a nice hole. Credit to Hammond for finding the end zone.
It's been a battle of field position almost more than anything else, and there's the block PAT. It will not get off. It was a mishandled snap at the tee. And that will mean 7-6 is the score here with 3:54 to go. Lynwood gets on the board, but they do not equalize the Interlake Saints. 7-6 the score. We'll take a break on the Sound Live Sports Network.
Are you a whiz in filmmaking? Do you want to become extraordinary in filmmaking? Then come to Shoreline Community College and work with Shoreline Productions, where you will learn to transform your work in teams of working professionals and students to create enchanting effects such as green screen, text animation, and so much more. So come to Shoreline Community College, where you can mystify and dazzle in filmmaking.
If you're watching from home and you've got a little one that wants to learn to play football, one thing you can make a living at. We've already mentioned special teams and being able to run back punts and kickoffs. But how important is your long snapper?
We just had John Clippert come by the booth. He's the football booster club president for Melling Terrace High School. His son Drew is the long snapper, and it's something he's been practicing with Drew since he was a little kid, kind of telling him essentially the same thing. And I know it drives him nuts whenever he sees a bad snap. So to see a handful of them tonight, Interlake on the punt cost them a touchdown, and then Lynwood on the PAT, which cost them a chance to tie this game up.
Short kick on the kickoff. It is miscommunication in the backfield. They will say the ball is down, need, and it'll be 1st and 10. I'm not sure I saw a body actually knee the football down.
No, what happened was that number 60, which I don't know if we have his name or not here. He's not on our roster. Number 60 for Interlake. He waved.
That's Reddick Fields.
Is that Fields? Okay.
Yeah.
Fields waved for the fair catch, and rather than catch the ball, he stepped away from it. So Rodriguez then had to take it. And I think because he called for that fair catch, some sort of a high school rule.
Well, I'm not sure.
Is there a fair catch
or not as far as
absolutely.
a kickoff?
You can absolutely fair catch a kickoff.
Okay.
100% on that. And he chose not to, which was kind of odd. If you wave that hand up there, not only one, do you let the ball hit the turf, but two, you threw your player off. Rodriguez wasn't expecting to try to catch it because he saw Reddick waving his hand.
Okay, well, regardless, we start 1st and 10, 3:54 to go. Third quarter, Interlake with the lead 7-6. And we'll keep the ball over right-hand side going nowhere.
Oh.
Right now we've got what looked like another loose ball. We'll see if Lynwood picks it up. They say they do, and no indication. I think it'll be 2nd down.
Yeah, interesting play there. That was a pitch, a little bit of a quick option, if you will, and Jensen had to get rid of that ball right away. Lucas Youngman came firing through there. Almost looked as though he might have a chance to bat that ball down as it was pitched to Parrish. Didn't matter either way, as Youngman had a few teammates over there on the left-hand side waiting for Mr. Parrish when he got there.
Rain has not let up here at Edmonds District Stadium. It is going to be a sloppy one. And you can imagine the passing game will erode with it. And looking at that last play in the replay, he was down. There's a fumble. This will be a safety on another missed snap. And so far, special teams got you into the ball game if you're the Saints, and it's just as quick taking you out of it. You've lost the lead, 8-7 Royals.
Wow. Very seldomly do you see a game go from a 1-point lead from one team to the other on a safety. But again, it's a long snap issue. I don't know if it's the same long snapper for punts as it is when they're on offense, but second time in the last 2.5, 3 minutes where a snap has cost them points. This time it puts Lynwood in the lead.
And it's mistake after mistake after mistake for both squads. The only real shining moment so far has been the punt returns, kickoff returns, and a hammered 4-yard scramble into the end zone that has the lead for the Royals, 8-7. You're going to have to clean up the penalties, and you're going to have to clean up your snapping game right now if you're the Saints.
Yeah, and if you're the Royals, you're loving this right now. You've scored 8 points, 2 different ways of scoring, a touchdown and a safety.
And you're getting the ball back.
And you've had to gain 4 yards of total offense to do it. And as you mentioned, you're getting the ball back with the lead. And there's now less than 3 minutes to go here in the third quarter. And this the game has changed very quickly. All the momentum now going over to the home team here wearing the black, the Lynwood Royals.
And normally, Steve, you and I keep stats. We like to keep, we're numbers guys. We're writing all this down. But when you're looking at drives and then here's what I have in the second half. I've got 15 yards in a punt, 5 yards in a fumble, minus 6 yards in a punt, minus 19 yards in a punt, 5 yards in a TD, and then a safety on top of that. So in that, you have 2 total yards of offense in the second half.
Yeah, and 15 total points between these two teams almost through 3 quarters.
So I don't think it matters. I guess that's my point.
Yeah,
His
absolutely.
numbers at this point in time,
they don't
irrelevant.
mean a thing, yeah.
Absolutely irrelevant. Here is the kickoff. And we'll see what can happen here. Expertly fielded at the 30-yard line. Trong now will have to take it through the middle, and he'll meet a couple of Saints. Had a bit of daylight, but it was immediately swallowed up. But Lynwood, decent field position after the safety. They'll start at the 42-yard line.
Yeah, Riddick, DeBrung, and Ingersoll all on the tackle there for the Saints. And that's the beauty of the safety. They have to kick the ball further up the field, and you generally get pretty good field position. And Lynwood right now in their own 42. And for the first time tonight, they have the ball and the lead all at the same time.
A similar offensive set now. They go to the 2 backs, still 3 receivers, and into the pile. Trying to see who that
Mike
was.
Kirkman one more
that
time.
was Kirkman. Katzenberger, strangely quiet, standing on the sidelines. Now he'll pace off to his right. Doesn't want to be in the middle of the sideline. He's isolated himself out there.
And the way
Not sure what that means.
The way that he's pacing, I almost wonder if he's trying to stay loose. So perhaps he does have a leg injury of some sort that's not affecting him on defense as much as offense. Again, we have not seen him carry the ball since the first quarter.
And he left the field into the locker room about that time. 2:11 to go here, third quarter. Second down and 9. Here's the handoff. Got a great block from Kirkman. Here is Hammond. Will pick up a yard. And Kirkman had to shovel off 2 would-be tacklers, would-be Saint tacklers in order to spring Hammond loose to just get that yard. Excellent job.
Yeah, nice job by David Jones, the 5'11", 185-pound defensive back, to step up and wrap him up around the legs, too. That was a good fundamental tackling there. A smaller DB on a bigger running back, and did not let Mr. Hammond get any further than he did.
Another third down for the Royals. Cachopo calling the signals. Now will fire over the middle into double coverage. Caught. He'll be short of the first down.
That is the third time we've seen him throw that slant to Bobby Graham today. The first time they've connected on it. Nice play down the field. Picks up a gain of about 7 or 8 yards, and it's going to bring up a 4th and short.
And you're going for it.
And you're going for it. Should be good.
A minute left now in the third quarter. Graham gets you close. Gets you over midfield on that catch. And I'm guessing you're handing the ball off straight ahead here. 4 down linemen. Here comes the blitz. And they'll pick it up. No, on the second effort across the middle, first down.
Hammond with
Hammond.
A little bit of a stutter step there. He pulled up initially there and finally found some space. They say sometimes the best thing a running back can do is let your lineman throw the block before you commit. I think he did a little bit of that intentionally, a little bit was unintentionally. Either way, a very nice run by Hammond. nice blocking by the guys up front there.
Simongo, the linebacker for the Saints, got him. Looked like for a loss of 2 and then somehow let go. And it's 1st and 10. Here's the handoff over the left-hand side. Now we've got a little bit of daylight, still on his feet. Hammond around the 30 now, down to the 25. Still able to be on his feet by the time he's run out of bounds. Thought for a minute there he could turn it back in and thought better of it. But a huge pickup.
Hammond just never hit the turf one time. He finally was pushed out of bounds, but you're right. Had about 4 or 5 different guys he had to bounce off of, and every time he made contact, one of the guys wearing a white jersey would end up on the ground, and Hammond was still standing 21 yards later.
Hammond and Kirkman behind Cachopo, or at least to the side of Cachopo. 3 wide receivers. Here's the handoff to Kirkman this time to the 20-yard line. Pickup of, well, they'll mark it down at the 21, a gain of 2. And on that pickup, the clock will end at the 3rd quarter break. An interesting turning of the tides here in the 3rd quarter. An 8 spot put up on the board, a rare 8 points by the Lynwood Royals to take the lead over the Interlake Saints. We'll be back to start the final stanza on the Sound Live Sports Network.
People assume quality car insurance has to cost more. People assume too much. The truth is, drivers who switched to Allstate last year saved money and got better protection. So get the facts, because you know what they say about people who assume. They pay more for car insurance than you and me.
The Allstate Insurance Agency of Jeff Smar is a proud sponsor of Wesco Athletics. Located in Northwest Bothell, Jeff's office services many areas including Lynwood, Edmonds, Bothell, and Mill Creek. Contact Jeff for a quote at 425-949-7103 or email jeffsmar@allstate.com.
Hey sports fans, do you want to know when and where your favorite teams in the Westco Conference are playing? Who won the game last night and what the current standings are? Well, it's easy to find out on westcoathletics.com. The information is entered by athletic directors and coaches, so you know it's accurate and up to date, making westcoathletics.com the place to view official scores, schedules, standings, and photos for all the schools and all the sports in the Westco Conference. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and check out westcoathletics.com, the official website of the Westco Conference.
And here we go, 4th quarter of action. Cachopo throwing a bubble screen out to Richard Trong. Tron makes the catch, gets down the field for a gain of about 3 yards. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 6. So here we go, 4th quarter of play coming up. The Lynwood Royals now with an 8-7 lead, and 8 the hard way. If you're throwing dice here, it's not exactly the 8 you would expect. It's a 6 off of a touchdown, missed PAT, so you fail to tie the game, and then a couple plays later you get the safety to put yourself up by 1, and that's where we stand right now. Lynwood 8, Interlake 7, 4th quarter of play. Cachopo throwing out to Carson Horner. Horner cannot come up with that one. That's going to bring up a 4th and 7 on the 20, and presumably we're in 4-down territory. Lynwood doesn't kick a lot of field goals.
Yeah, I think you're definitely in 4-down territory, especially when your longest drive, the longest drive in the ball game, 23 yards for Interlake.
Well, and this is a team that through the first couple of weeks covering them, we saw them go for it on 4th and 10 at the 10. I think there was even a 4th and longer situation inside the red zone at one time this year. So they're not comfortable kicking a 37-yarder even on a clear day. And like you mentioned, right now, points being a premium, you want to try to get into that end zone, and they are definitely going to go for it here.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt you.
Need to get to the 13-yard line. 11:15 showing on that clock right now. Cachopo rolling out to the left, throwing into the end zone. Bobby Graham, touchdown Royals. Bobby Graham just getting behind the defensive back. Cachopo hitting him perfectly at about the 2-yard line, and Graham had nobody around him. He waltzes into the end zone, and it's now 14-7 Lynwood with 11:09 to go in this ball game.
Only took 6 plays to do it, went 58 yards, and a home run strike to finish it off. Beautiful.
Let's see if we can get the PAT this time. Horner puts the ball up. The kick is up, and the kick is good. So Lynwood now with some breathing room. It is 15-7. A little over 11 minutes to go. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Are you a whiz in filmmaking? Do you want to become extraordinary in filmmaking? Then come to Shoreline Community College and work with Shoreline Productions, where you will learn to transform your work in teams of working professionals and students to create enchanting effects such as green screen, text animation, and so much more. So come to Shoreline Community College, where you can mystify and dazzle in filmmaking.
And here we go, Steve Willits along with Keith Neely coming at you from Edmonds Stadium, where the Lynwood Royals have now scored 15 unanswered points here in the second half and have taken the 15-7 lead with 11:09 to go in this ball game. And Keith Neely, if you are the Interlake Saints, you cannot be feeling very good about things right now. Not only are you down by 8 points, but you have not been able to generate any offense at all in the second half.
Zero, minus 29 yards. Ooh. Minus 29 yards of total offense in the second half of play. And you only gained 59 yards of total offense in the first half. And on that drive, Lynwood, 58 yards. So they have already, in one drive, Lynwood has managed to overtake Interlake in their entire offensive possession.
And the ball is still loose, and I think Lynwood might have it. Squib kick down the field was not fielded very cleanly by one of the up man. Number 7, Brandon Gallen, trying to field it, slid to try to secure the ball, and he couldn't come up with it, and Lynwood is going to have the ball in excellent field position, already up by 8.
Big plays and turnovers. We talked about it at halftime, about what it was going to take to bust this thing open and what Lynwood had to do in order to get ahead and have a chance to go 3-1, Steve. 3-1 on the season.
Like the sound of that. Hey, by the way, speaking of 3, who's that out on the field right now? That's Katzenberger back in there. He's going to lead block for Hammond. Hammond looking for room around the right. Cuts it back. Gets down to about the 19. They're going to spot him on the 21. A gain of 3. But I'm sure that the entire squad likes to see Andrew Katzenberger back on that field on the offensive side of things for the first time since the first quarter.
And he was actually out ahead of pulling guard Will Eddington, a junior, 195 pounds, who was also in the blocking scheme there. And you had 2 big bodies like that, you'd certainly like to see a little more than 2 yards of offense out of it.
Eating up a lot of clock right now. And here comes Katzenberger as he's just powering his way into the middle. Gets down to about the 18-yard line, a gain of 4. We've seen him block now. We've seen him carry. Guy does a little bit of everything, and he gives his team a chance here with a 3rd and 4 coming up. And that clock continuing to run, and now showing 10:06 to go in the ballgame.
Angela Camo, our director tonight, is encouraging the students at Mount Lake Terrace that do our productions to start building the ark, I think.
The players and the coaches might want to do so as well, and cheerleaders
for
that matter too.
It is coming down, Steve. It is coming down.
Welcome to the fall. We've had a very nice summer, so we can't complain too much, but tonight, not the case. Cachopo looking to throw on that left-hand side again. Hits Horner around the 16. Cannot get past the first set of tacklers. And for the second time this quarter, Lynwood is looking at a 4th down in the red zone. Worked out pretty well for them last time as Graham got the 20-yard touchdown catch. Let's see what they can come up with here on 4th and 5.
6'1", 225-pound Amon Edwards for Interlake. Got to Cachopo and made him pay for that completion.
And by the way,
right to the deck.
Carson Horner making that catch, and he is holding that right arm right now. He's in a lot of pain and not out there on the field. Keep an eye on him. Here we go, 4th and 5. Hammond takes the handoff, spins off of one would-be tackler.
Short.
And comes up just a bit short. He's going to be tackled at the 15.
Unfortunate. I thought on that second effort he was going to get there. Nice job of keeping his feet moving even as his back was turned to the goal line. Was still churning him under, but gets just short, and it'll be a turnover on downs.
Yeah, so if you are Lynwood right now, you did not convert on that turnover. However, you ate a good 2.5 minutes off of that clock. We're now showing 8:53 to go. You've got the 8-point lead. Your defense has been doing an excellent job. As we mentioned before, Interlake with just a little under 40 yards of total offense in this game. And I'm no math major, but you're a lot further than 40 yards away from the end zone right now. So you've got to like your odds here. Pinning Interlake back at their own 15-yard line. Jensen in
Still
shotgun
a
formation.
one possession ball game.
Definitely, as the hands off to Parrish, and Parrish not finding any room. The Royals defensive front getting the push there, tackling Parrish back for a loss of 4 yards. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 14.
Lucas Youngman in there on the stop on that right-hand side.
Jensen in shotgun formation. He has Parrish back there one more time. 8:27 to go in this ball game.
He's your playmaker. You got to give him the football. He's going to be your best chance right now at taking the lead if he can bust one open.
And he's going to fake the handoff this time and throw it over the middle, and wide open is number 26, Harmer. He's running down the field, and coming from behind is Bobby Graham to make the tackle and to possibly save a touchdown. Brings them down at the 35-yard line, a gain of 54 yards. Interlake more than doubling their total yards of offense tonight on one play.
And it did on play action. If you notice there, they've stuck Parrish on a very nice handoff fake up the middle. Everybody from Lynwood bit. And it was easy. All he had to do was just run under it, catch the football, and Armour, huge pickup and a chance now for Interlake to do some damage.
Lynwood just stacking that box, and rightfully so. Interlake has not been throwing the ball at all tonight. Might have been their first completion of the game here as they hand off to Parrish. Hammond comes through, misses the tackle. Parrish is still running along the left-hand side, pushes forward, and is finally brought down at the 16-yard line. So we'll spot him at the 17. That's a gain of 18 yards, and all of a sudden the Saints have a little something going here on offense.
Anything can happen in high school football. We saw only a week ago, the Meadowdale Edmonds Woodway game came down to a 3-point lead with a minute left. Edmonds Woodway came all the way back down to get the tie. A couple of field goals inside a minute and make that game incredible.
One of the better games I've seen in a long time, and you got a chance to call that. That was fantastic. Here we go once again. Jensen throwing a little bubble screen out to Harmer. Harmer looking for some space, looking for the sideline. Nice stop by Wynn as well as Graham. And we've got a penalty flag.
I think we're going to have a hold on the far side of the field. Again, far away from the play. But I think it may be near the line of scrimmage. It may not be in the backfield. Originally, I thought the call was a hold, but it may be motion.
They did, in fact, call a hold. And you're right, it was on the left, but they threw the screen out to the right, so therefore you are protecting the blind side of the quarterback. So I'm guessing that maybe one of the tackles out there, or potentially a tight end, was trying to grab somebody who was blitzing from that blind side, and you didn't need to. It was a 3-step drop and a quick pass, but it cost Interlake, and that's been the name of this game so far. Teams shooting themselves in the foot with these bad holding calls.
And now a bit of a hurry-up offense for the Saints. Quickly getting everybody back in. Snap the football on first down.
Jensen about ready to take that snap. 6:54 showing on the clock. Hands off, and there's nobody there. Miscommunication, and they did not get back on it. I believe that is Lynwood football as we await to see the referee signal. And it is. Wow. Jensen pitching the ball off of his right shoulder. Parrish had run to the left, so he just essentially pitched it into thin air. And Lynwood able to jump on it. And once again, we've talked about it time and time again. The errors and the turnovers are going to be the difference in this game. You mentioned it at halftime, Keith, and that's exactly what we've seen here in this last quarter and a half of football.
So just after the quarter break, Interlake lost 15 yards, and the safety had to give it right back. Lynwood scores. Interlake then fumbles the kickoff. Immediately, you got another fumble in your next possession. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 turnovers.
So we'll take a quick break. There's a timeout on the field. 6:44 to go in this ball game. Lynwood 15, Interlake 7. You are watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
Six minutes and 44 seconds showing on the clock. Lynwood with the 8-point lead and the ball. But the way this game is going, expect the unexpected. There's still a lot of action to happen here, Keith Neely.
Yay.
Wow, every time you think one team's got momentum, it shifts again. Interlake with two big offensive plays before the turnover. Lynwood now with the ball, and Hammond getting dragged down in the backfield.
And you're going to have to be careful if you're Interlake. All you got to do is really get a stop. It's a one-possession ball game, 6:30 to go, plenty of time. Just don't do anything crazy. Don't do anything extra. Just do what you have to do, nothing more.
Well, and quite frankly, every time they've tried to do a little more tonight, I think that's when they've
running
been
themselves
hurt.
out of the football game.
Definitely. When they've played within themselves, they kept this game manageable. You mentioned it earlier, a bad snap on a punt, safety over the head of the quarterback, big turnover here on a fumble, and all of a sudden Lynwood with a 15-7 lead after trailing 7-0 at halftime.
Well, your defense is doing exactly what it needs to do right now. You got the first stop for a loss.
And here we go, a bubble screen to all people. Carson Horner, who a minute ago looked like he couldn't lift his right arm up, and apparently he heals quickly, was able to catch that ball. Didn't get a lot of yardage, but more importantly right now, did catch the ball and kept the clock running.
And if you're the Saints, you've done exactly what your coaching staff expects you to do right now, and that's get a stop on defense. Big, giant third down coming now. You've got plenty of time on the clock, 5:30 to go. One more stop and get the ball back, especially if you can get it in the hands of Rodriguez on a punt return here.
Very good point. A four-receiver set. We've got Richard Trung lined up to the far right. Lucas Youngman on the far left here with Bobby Graham in the slot. Two running backs in the backfield, both blocking. Cachopo's got some time. He's going to lob one up to Graham. Almost picked off as David Jones just waiting for that ball, and give Bobby Graham some credit.
Absolutely.
Playing a defensive back on that play. And I should point out, Bobby Graham, didn't get a chance to mention this on that last drive, had the probably tackling touchdown saving tackle when he ran Harmer down from behind after he caught the ball behind the entire secondary. Graham for the second time in about 3 minutes saving a big play for the Royals.
And it almost seems to me that maybe Graham and Cachopo got mixed up on the routes there, because Graham was open early in the route. Had he only done about a 10-step in, he had a very large 5-yard cushion. And there's another missed long snap.
Yeah, Carson Horner, also a baseball player, showed off his fielding skills there as he took that one on a hop. Rodriguez has the ball and is finally brought down from behind by number 52. That's Kason Salvetti on that play. Give Salvetti credit for staying with it after initially running by Rodriguez. And Rodriguez is a guy that all hands on deck. You need everybody to try to make that tackle, or else
got to rally.
He can slip out of your grasp fairly quickly. And Salvetti making a nice tackle on the play.
Between he and Parrish, you got to recognize who number 4 is and who number 10 is. Rodriguez is number 11. Parrish in the backfield. Know where he is right now if you're a linebacker.
And you know these guys do. He's been getting his handoffs all night long. 46-yard line is where Interlake's going to start this drive. Parrish takes the pitch, finds the corner, but is finally pushed out at around the 47-yard line. We'll call it a gain of 7. And Interlake now trailing by 8, 4:44 to go in the ball game. They're finally getting the ball back on the Lynwood Royals side of the field one more time here. Royals need a big stop.
Clock isn't necessarily your enemy. 4:44 to go, plenty of time if you're Interlake to just go with the game plan.
Yeah, and Parrish was pushed out of bounds on that play, so the clock has even stopped for that matter. And you're right, there's a lot of time left for maybe one or even two more possessions. And on that play, we've got number 5 back there now. That is not Jensen. Got a player running a little wildcat there. That is Duncan Varela. We haven't called his name yet tonight. Varela started to run to his right, was completely boxed up and broke away from a couple of tacklers. Did a nice job just to, I guess, lost 4 yards. So usually you don't say nice job to lose 4 yards, but that could have been a lot worse for Interlake.
Sophomore quarterback, presumably the backup for the Saints. Varela, 6 foot, 195 pounds. He's a nice big kid.
Takes the snap. He's going to look to throw this time. Throws it right over the middle, and he finds Harmer for a first down. Very interesting play call there by Interlake there. Interesting that they've changed their quarterback at this stage in the game, especially after Jensen had a nice first down completion just one drive ago. Interlake trailing by 8, 3:49 to go in this ball game, and they are 33 yards away from potentially tying it up. Takes the snap, looking deep one more time, incomplete. Had his wide receiver Galland wide open. If he had let him just a little bit more, Galland might have been able to catch that in stride and run right into the end zone.
Collective sigh of relief from the fans to our right, the Lynwood Royal fans, that one hit the turf with 3:40 to go.
And Varela definitely a little more of a pocket passing quarterback, if you will. We know that Jensen's big weapon are his legs, and he's shown that all season long. He is their second leading rusher. Perhaps they wanted to try to get a little more of a vertical game going, and they've put Varela in, and he's going to throw one more time. Third time in the last 4 plays. This one is complete to number 17.
Should be another first down, Steve.
That's Tyler Sheehan, and Sheehan gives them the ball on the 23-yard line, and with 3:24 to go, this game is getting a lot more interesting.
Well, the styles have definitely changed. You've mixed it up, third down and short. They stay with the sophomore quarterback.
So Varela looking over to the sideline for the play. 3:10 showing on the clock right now. Was a little bit short of the first down marker, so it's a 3rd and 1. Varela in the same exact thing that happened on a couple plays ago, but he breaks out of it and he's still running to the 20 and is finally pushed out of bounds. Varela turned to his right to pitch to Parrish, who had run to the left. Complete broken play. It looked as though he was going to lose a couple yards, but Varela broke out of a couple of tacklers and not only got positive yardage, he picked up a first down.
6 foot, 195 pounds, not afraid to take a pop, and had to use his feet just to elude the Lynwood tacklers. Had he not done that, you were probably seeing the dying embers of the Interlake football team on 4th down, but new life.
And Varela looking to roll out to the left. He throws it along the sideline, well out of bounds. Looking for Sheehan one more time. Very interesting play. He rolled out to the left along with a trip set, so he had 3 receivers over there. For a moment, I thought he was going to look back into the middle of the field. I think he had number 7.
Yeah, Brandon Galland was wide open behind the defensive back, behind coverage. Had he gone over the top and had been seen there, would have been tough to cover for Lynwood.
And Lynwood having to adjust right now. They've been playing against a running quarterback for 3 quarters, and all of a sudden the passing game is coming to life. Catch is made by Sheehan. And that will be brought down at the 14-yard line. It's going to be a 3-yard gain, 17-yard line rather. It brings up a 3rd and 7.
Another huge 3rd down. And you wouldn't even think we'd be here after all the Saints turnovers that have happened in the second half, that they would even be vying for a chance to take the lead with 2:22 to go.
Varela back to pass again, looking into the end zone, throws it over the middle, incomplete, and a very late flag as Bobby Graham and Harmer getting to that ball right about at the same time. We'll await the call, but I believe they're going to call.
I think you're going to see pass interference. I think you will, and that's tough. That's a tough one. Great play. You were throwing into double coverage. Graham made a nice break on the football that time, but I might have gotten there just a little bit earlier, or the telltale dragging on the jersey sometimes will get the flag out before contact does.
And give Varela a lot of credit. This kid has not been playing for the first 3.5 quarters. Coming into this game cold.
He's the only one not waterlogged yet.
That might be a plus for him, although he was standing on the sideline the entire time. But give him credit. He's come in here and just started firing the ball all over the field. And Lynwood, who has been preparing for a running quarterback all week long, now has to adjust. And so far, they haven't made the proper adjustments. Now's the time to do it as the ball is placed on the 8-yard line with 2:15 to go.
1st and goal.
And Interlake looking to tie this game up. Varela takes the snap. Going to run a little bit of option. They're going to keep it. A flag is thrown right behind the line of scrimmage. Varela getting tackled down at the goal line, but this one might be coming back as that flag sits at the 10-yard line. And sure enough.
Easy call to make. Easy call to make. I believe it was the tackle on the left-hand side, stepped back and saw And I can't tell you who the Lynwood player that was coming through the hole was, but just drug him right to the ground, and that's going to get you laundry on the field every time.
And the thing that impresses me about Varela, he can make things happen with his legs as well. He's not just a passing quarterback. Looks every bit as athletic as Jensen almost, and he's still a threat if he gets outside the pocket and needs to scramble. He's somebody you have to account for.
And very poised in the pocket in the 2 or 3 attempts that he's made from back there. Doesn't get the happy feet that you see in a lot of freshman and sophomore quarterbacks. No. He definitely is aware of his blocking and aware of the pocket and where it is and how it's changing, and steps right up in there and throws a strike when he has to.
Yeah, we'll keep it right here now. 2:04 to go in the game. 1st and goal from the 20. No time for a field goal. If you're Interlake, this is 4-down territory. You essentially have 4 plays to make it 20 yards. And even if you do that, you then have to get the 2-point conversion for the tie. This game's getting interesting all of a sudden.
You've practiced for this. 2 minutes, you've got the ball on the 20-yard line. This is something that teams do in practice during the week. So this is not something that should be foreign to the Saints players right now. You're going to step up. You know exactly what's been drawn up. You've got a timeout. You're probably scripting the next 2 or 3 plays in the huddle, and come out. And just as long as you execute, you probably have a pretty good chance. I'd like to remind you that the Meadowdale Glacier Peak game is also available on the Sound Live Sports Network, now live. You want to head over there. And the doubleheader continues at 8 o'clock. It is Mount Lake Terrace and Edmonds Woodway, the Warriors.
Well, here we go. Valera still out there at quarterback. Parrish in the backfield with him. 3 receivers set out to the right-hand side, 1 over to the left. Going to fake the handoff, and whistles blow before this play can even count. No flags on the field. I believe Lynwood saw something they didn't like and are going to decide to take a timeout, and so will we. We'll take a quick break here. 2:04 to go in this ball game. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Northwest Best, brought to you by Smart Service Subaru. Here's your host, Mike Halsey.
We're back at the Red Onion in Mount Lake Terrace, and I'm with the owner, Sean, and the food here is absolutely terrific. The burgers are made with 100% beef, made to order with fresh ingredients. And you're involved in a lot of community projects.
Yes, Mike, we are. With the help of our loyal customers, we're able to give back to our community. Such as we take 100 kids shopping with cops and join us for our terrific Tuesday fundraisers. Join us
at Red Onion Burger.
And thank you for watching.
Well, we are ready to go here. 2:03 showing on the clock. Apparently we lost 1 second on the snap before the timeout. But at any rate, 2:03 left on the clock. 1st and goal from the 20 for Interlake. They trail 15-7. They've got 4 plays to punch it into the end zone. Let's see what they do. Valero's going to throw down the left sideline. Incomplete. Pass was intended for David Jones.
And another chance to see some flags there. If that ball was not thrown out of the backside of the end or the side of the end zone, they probably would have seen a pass interference call. Once for the bump about the 5-yard line, and then got a bit tangled up right at the pylon before they headed out of bounds. So lucky for Lynwood to keep it right where it is, 2nd down and 20.
Only 6 seconds ticked off the clock. 1:57 to go in this ball game. Valero takes the snap, rolls out to his right, looking. Throwing into the end zone. There's a whole crowd of players.
Picked off.
Intercepted. I believe that was Richard Trung. It was Trung as Valero throwing that ball into a crowd of players. 7 or 8 guys that maybe, and 5 of them were wearing the wrong jerseys. And that's usually what happens.
Well, and that's what you get. That's what you risk by putting a sophomore quarterback into a crucial time of the ball game. Might be a much better passing quarterback, but you also have to realize that without a lot of snaps in a varsity game, you may make some mistakes. And that time, he should have just chucked it through the end zone, taken 3rd down. I know it's tough to go back to that 20-yard line when you know you only have 2 bullets left in the gun. But you'd much rather have the football than not have it.
That is a great point. But give Valero credit. He is the reason why they got down there to begin with. And Lynwood now takes over with 1:48. Interlake has 2 timeouts left. Hammond with a run up the middle, finds some space. He's still going and gets dragged down at the 33-yard line, a gain of 13. And that gives Lynwood another first down.
Right now, all you got to do is get first downs here. I think, one timeout, 2 timeouts for the Saints. So they can stop it twice. They'll probably wait till they get a second down here.
And really, one more first down should do it.
Should wrap it up.
They're in a lot of trouble as it is right now, as long as Lynwood doesn't turn the ball over. Clock now showing 1:20 to go. And you're right, after these next 2 plays, Interlake will, in fact, use those timeouts. And if they can stop them on defense, try to force a punt on 4th down. But they'll have very little time left on that clock. 1:07 to go right now. Cachopo takes the snap, fumbled, and very wisely do the Royals to just jump on that ball and not even try to pick it up and run with it. I believe that was Kirkman that might have fallen on it, as we wait for them to unpile the play. Yep. It was, in fact, Kirkman, so heads-up play by the sophomore, knowing that a turnover is the worst thing you can do right now. Yeah, you lose yardage, but you keep the ball and you force Interlake to call that timeout.
I'm almost, in the back of my mind, wondering why you're in a shotgun formation at this point.
Thinking the exact same thing.
Don't you? You may have to just get up to the line, get under center, make sure you've got a sure snap, sure handoff. You'll get some positive yards out of it. But a fumble right now is the absolute last thing you need.
Yeah, you talk about your Monday morning second guessers and your armchair quarterbacks. If you were to have fumbled that ball away right there, and if Interlake goes down and scores the tying touchdown, yeah, you'd be questioning that for a very, very long time. And I think they heard you, Keith, because right now Justin Cachopo has hands under center for the first time tonight, and he's also got 2 running backs who are lined up about 9 yards back from him, and a penalty flag thrown here with 57 seconds to go on the play.
It stops the clock in victory formation, but you don't have a whole lot of time left. You get two or three snaps and a timeout later, and now you're going to have maybe a punt, depending on how that goes. You could be giving the Saints the ball back at the 50, or actually inside your own territory, depending on how things go.
Yeah, and with that 1 timeout left on the clock for the Saints, you cannot just kneel the time away on the ball. You're at some point going to have to turn it back over to them, or at the very least take a snap on 4th down.
You've got a stoppage of the clock right now. Time had already started to tick, and I think they're going to put time back on the clock after the timeout.
And you're right. Before the snap of the ball, there were 57 seconds on the clock. Clock right now is showing 48, and every second counts right now if you're Interlake, so they definitely want that back.
Coming up after this one, Mount Lake Terrace, the Hawks, the visitors to the Warriors of Edmonds Woodway. And Edmonds Woodway trying to fight out of a 1-2 hole. The Hawks 2-1 on the season in their redefined 3A south of the Wesco.
Yeah, this one matters this year.
Absolutely does.
3 miles separate these schools that are playing each other every year anyway, but usually it's for bragging rights. This year it's for a place in the standings. And we'd like to remind everybody to also to stick around for the Red Onion Burger Player of the Game after this one's over. We're still trying to decide who our Player of the Game is right now.
It's kind of a head scratcher right now.
There's a few different candidates, as certainly this game has gone back and forth. For a while there, it certainly looked like it was going to be a defensive player, and now maybe we've got an argument or two for an offensive player as well.
Graham has played well.
Yeah, maybe somebody
Strong
that plays both
has played
sides.
well. Big Joe McKay up the middle has made some huge stops when he needed to.
And Hammond's picked up some first downs where he needed to keep the chains moving to keep the clock rolling. So you can go a lot of different ways with it right now.
We talked at halftime, but one of the positives that I thought came out of the Lynwood first half was the fact that they were able to really share the wealth, share the offense with the football. A lot of different receivers targeted, a lot of running backs also given the opportunity to get some carries. And I think that helped them at the end of the day.
I agree. So they're getting the crowd fired up right now. The clock has finally been fixed. It's showing 57 seconds left. 2nd and 19 right now.
5 turnovers handed to you also doesn't necessarily hurt either.
Not one bit, especially on a night like this.
Of course, one of those turnovers, call it that, as a safety in the end zone that put Lynwood on top, 8-7 at the time. Not often you turn the table, go from loss to lead on a safety.
That definitely does not happen very often. We've got all sorts of confusion out here.
I'm confused.
Penalties thrown.
Explain it to me.
Penalties thrown, penalties declined. The ball's been moved forward. The ball was moved back to the original line of scrimmage.
We added time on the clock.
Finally fixed the clock. It was at 57, then at 48, now back at 57 again. And we were just talking about how this game is going so quickly, and at this rate, maybe we'll be here until 8 o'clock. Who knows? I don't think so, but.
Put your left foot in, put your left foot out.
The last minute of play here taking a while, as we've only got 57 seconds left. Presumably, Lynwood's lining up to maybe take another knee or run a very conservative play at most to force Interlake to call that final timeout here.
Well, you will. You'll call the timeout. Well, now we're moving the chains forward. So who knows? Second down and 11. And now they're going back.
Well, you know who's getting the best workout right now is the
chain
gentleman
gang.
over there holding the – well, not even the chain gang. The two guys, they're just staying still. It's the yard marker guy who has to keep going back and forth. And somebody get that guy a Gatorade. Cachopo takes a knee, and in the process, Interlake comes barreling through and pushes him over.
You're lucky you don't, A, get an offsides, and B, get a unsportsmanlike conduct.
Especially when you do not want to give a first down away, and that would end the game immediately. They did not call a flag, and that will draw a timeout.
So if that will be, is that the final? I believe that's the final timeout. You've got 51 seconds on the clock. You take the next knee and let it drain as far as you can. You're still giving the ball back. So
with very little time. I mean, you might have to punt the ball with 8 or 10 seconds and possibly just kick the ball out of bounds and make Interlake throw a Hail Mary of some sort. And Keith, I'm sorry about that. We're still up here trying to figure out who our player of the game is. We've got a lot of guys to choose from. I've narrowed it down to 2. We won't tell you who it is, but are we going over here?
I think we will.
Let's do that.
Okay. That's out of our left field. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
We're going to make it interesting.
We are tonight. So take guesses for yourself as to who it may or may not be. Stick around. It will be a Royal. And Hammond takes the handoff around the right-hand side. Very conservatively goes down. I'm sure he was told under no circumstances do you try to do anything spectacular. Do not turn the ball over, whatever you do. Make them go down. And
so Interlake did have a final timeout. So with that final timeout, 44 seconds remain on the clock, and Lynwood will have to punt the football. So that makes it even more interesting. You're going to get a couple of shots.
And I wonder now, did they not have the proper timeouts listed up on the board? Because it was showing 2 before, and they've called 3 in a row here. Yeah, that changes everything right now. And hey, they still have to come down the field and score a touchdown, and they would still have to get a 2-point conversion. But I was trying to figure that out in my own head. I kept thinking, I don't recall a timeout, but I'll go with what's on the scoreboard.
And here's a question. Yeah. You and I are going by what's on the scoreboard. Is the coaching staff also doing that, or do you have somebody that's keeping track separately? If I'm a head coach looking down there and I look up at the scoreboard on a regular basis and I know the other team only has 2 timeouts remaining, yet they really have 3.
Yeah.
My strategy may be a little different here in the waning moments.
Well, and here's something that's a little bit interesting, too. We've seen some huge returns tonight from Rodriguez, and guess what? He's not back there right now. Parrish is. Not a bad guy to put back there.
And this is something you don't need.
Does a nice job just to get the ball off, but where are they going to spot it? 36 seconds to go.
Yay.
And I know what Horner was doing. He had to get that kickoff quickly as the ball was bounced back to him. He did a nice job just to field it, but
35-yard line.
35-yard line, 36 seconds to go. And Keith, I'll say this as well. 30 minutes ago, I would have said Interlake's still in a lot of trouble because they don't have an offense that's set up for quick strikes. But with Valera in there playing quarterback now, he's shown that he's got the arm for it. He's got the receiving core. They could make this a very interesting game here with 36 seconds to go. And let's see what happens. Valera dropping back to pass one more time. He's going to go for the entire thing right off the bat. Richard Trung with the interception. Down on the 1-yard line with 29 seconds to go. And Lynwood essentially has just won this ball game.
And they do it on the back of Richard Trung.
29 seconds left. Lynwood taking over the ball.
That pretty much puts a fork in it. Lynwood should be able now to at least get some positive yards. What you cannot do at this point in time is end up in the end zone with it on your back. You're going to have to get positive yards, or if you're going to need the football, you're going to do it inside of the 4-yard line.
So Richard Trung with his second interception in the last minute. And now if you're Lynwood, you pretty much just sealed it up. As the clock runs, that should be the last snap of the ball game.
Ball game on weirdness. I mean, it hasn't necessarily been textbook in any strain of offense, defense, or special teams. We've seen bright spots in some of it, but largely it's been weird. What a weird ball game.
And the clock ticks down to 0, and the Lynwood Royals, are you ready for this, Keith? The Lynwood Royals are 3-1 on the season. This is a team that didn't win 3 games all of last year after 10 games, and they are looking good in the process. The final score, the Lynwood Royals 15, the Interlake Saints 7. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the Red Onion Burgers player of the game, and
mystery of the game.
The mystery of the game, and we'll wrap this thing up. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Welcome to Northwest Best, brought to you by Smart Service Subaru. Here's your host, Mike Halsey.
We're back at the Red Onion in Mount Lake Terrace, and I'm with the owner, Sean, and the food here is absolutely terrific. The burgers are made with 100% beef, made to order with fresh ingredients. And you're involved in a lot of community projects.
Yes, Mike, we are. With the help of our loyal customers, we're able to give back to our community. Such as we take 100 kids shopping with cops and join us for our terrific Tuesday fundraisers. Join us
at Red Onion Burger.
And thank you for watching.
Camera too? I forgot.
Welcome back on the Sound Live Sports Network. We are at the end of the first one of the doubleheader, 15-7, a win for the Lynwood Royals to move them to 3-1. The Interlake Saints fall to 2-2 on the season. Of course, a non-league contest tonight will mean that neither one of these teams really is scarred as far as any playoff placement is concerned, but ball game has to be played. You got to get it out there, and it's been interesting. What a strange one.
Yeah, and I should know this by now because this is going to be the third time we've had a Lynwood player of the game up here. It takes them a little bit longer now because they've got a little new tradition going at the school. They like to go over and address their home crowd and do a chant with them. It's something that one of the assistant coaches, I believe, introduced to them this season, and they're getting a chance to do it a lot this year. That means you've won the game, and that's what we're waiting for right now. So we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we will have our player of the game. Final score one more time, Lynwood 15, Interlake 7. You're watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
Welcome to Northwest Best, brought to you by Smart Service Subaru. Here's your host, Mike Halsey.
We're back at the Red Onion in Mount Lake Terrace, and I'm with the owner, Sean, and the food here is absolutely terrific. The burgers are made with 100% beef, made to order with fresh ingredients. And you're involved in a lot of community projects.
Yes, Mike, we are. With the help of our loyal customers, we're able to give back to our community. Such as we take 100 kids shopping with cops and join us for our terrific Tuesday fundraisers. Join us
at Red Onion Burger.
And thank you for watching.
And we are back one more time. Meadowdale with the come-from-behind victory tonight.
It was actually Lynwood.
I'm
going to go with Lynwood.
You're absolutely right. It is Lynwood. And speaking of which, we have our player of the game up here with us right now, Keith. I just tapped this guy on the shoulder, and he's a little bit wet. It's been raining out there. I don't know if you've noticed. We're dry up here, but Richard Trung, we're going to give you the microphone right now. We'll hand that to you. Why don't you come on over here and get in the camera with us?
You step right in the middle.
There we go, right in the middle of us here right now.
We'll make it interesting. Do the dance.
Let's show you what you got here. First of all, you have now got yourself a player of the game shirt. Okay. You know, Justin Cachopo has one already. Andrew Katzenberger has one. And now Richard Trung. So why don't you put that up to your mouth here? And 2 big interceptions in the fourth quarter. Walk us through the first one.
They just kind of threw it deep. I mean, I knew it was 2 minutes left. They were just going to challenge our corners and safeties. So we just played back and miracles happened.
And you guys had about 5 defensive backs waiting for it there. Did you have to call your guys off, or did you just jump over the top of them?
I don't know what happened, honestly. It was crazy. It was kind of hard, make your heart beat, you feel me? So
you had 15 unanswered points in the second half. Things look kind of bleak. Only 60 yards or so of total offense in that first half. What did Coach Spankhead tell you in the locker room at halftime?
He just told us all to wipe out first half. Second half is ours. All throughout off season, we're working on finish. Finish has been a motto since last fall, and we just it feels good. We just finished.
You're 3-0.
Yep, 3-1.
3-1 rather in the first time in your career. Yep. What does that mean for the Royals in this season?
It means the world. It means the world. We've just been working too hard.
Do you sense that the locker room attitude is changing? Last year at this time, you guys hadn't won a game. You didn't win one until week 9, and now you're 3-1. I mean, is the mindset different? Is the mentality? Is there a little more excitement around the team right now?
Of course, we just got to work as a team. That's why we're. Oh man, I don't even know what to say.
That's all right.
Great feeling.
Take a deep breath.
Absolutely, it should be. And hey, that second interception, you mentioned that you knew they were going to throw it down deep there.
They knew it.
Did you read them from the get-go?
Yeah, I knew they were going to run all goes. I mean, final couple seconds of the game, they're going to throw it deep. So
5 turnovers in the ball game. Lynwood without one, protecting the football. How does the weather? You got down there. It started to pour about midway through the first quarter.
Crazy. It just kind of hit us like out of nowhere. I didn't expect. I just came through warm-ups like, oh, it's gonna be good, perfect. Dark weather, no rain, but just hit us.
How do you think that affected the ball game?
Made the ball slippery, and then gloves, all the gear slick, and the ball wet. Yeah.
You're 3-1.
3-1 feels good.
And we're gonna let you get down and celebrate with your team.
Right.
First of all, we got to get the picture here real quick. So we'll pose for that so we can put this on the website. And we'd like to thank Red Onion Burgers for sponsoring this. Richard Trung, congratulations. 2 interceptions, 15-7 victory.
Thank you very much.
Go celebrate with your teammates. Take that with you and enjoy this. So Keith, we won't continue this too much longer. We know we've got to get ready for the next game, but I think you had a few of the stats there.
Pretty happy young man.
Yeah,
that's good to see out
man.
of the Lynwood Royals. And the Red Onion Burgers player of the game. Remember that you can visit Red Onion Burgers in Mount Lake Terrace. Sponsors the player of the game each and every game. You can visit them online at redonionburgers.com. 15 unanswered points. 5 turnovers, the difference in the ball game. I really don't think you have to dig much further in the stats. I've got them, but why go there?
Yeah, not only 5 turnovers, but the way in which the turnovers happened. You're down 7-0. You really don't have any momentum at that point. A botched snap on a punt forces a blocked punt, which you recover at the 4-yard line. You punch that in immediately to get within 1, and then one offensive play later, snap over the quarterback's head into the end zone. And if you're Lynwood, you pretty much got 8 gift points within about 30 seconds, and then it was all downhill from there.
It's really all you needed. Yeah, that was the difference in the ball game. The extra was just insurance.
But not to take anything away from Lynwood either. They played an outstanding game of defense tonight. 5 turnovers, but a lot of those were forced, and they did a nice job of containing the players they needed to. Parrish is an outstanding running back, very quick, very elusive. They did a very nice job of not letting him get outside the pocket very often. When he did, there were guys over there in containing him, and he kept his yardage to a minimum, and he kept them down to 7 points on the scoreboard, and that was pretty much the difference tonight.
And you can imagine the coaching staff is really not going to go anywhere for Lynwood. The next opponent happens to be playing up next, and that's the Edmonds Woodway Warriors in the late game facing the Mount Lake Terrace Hawks. Let's give us a quick preview, and then we'll get everybody out of here.
Yeah, this should be a really good game. It's an Edmonds Woodway team that is 1-2 on the year. They've lost 2 heartbreaker games. Lost to Kamiak by a touchdown that was scored late in the 4th quarter, and then lost in overtime to Meadowdale last week. And you've got a Mount Lake Terrace team that's got a little momentum going right now. Beat Shorewood by 28 points last week, 7 touchdowns by 5 different players, and really Shorewood couldn't stop them defensively all night. So you've got a team that's feeling pretty good about themselves on offense. You've got another team that's reeling a little bit after 2 tough losses. 2 teams that know each other fairly well. These kids all grew up around each other. 3 miles separate these 2 schools. It's going to be one heck of a ball game.
And that's the 8 o'clock ball game right here on the Sound Live Sports Network. One last score, 15-7, the final here, Lynwood.
And one more score, too, if I can. Meadowdale up 13-0 on Glacier Peak last time we checked.
That's a big ball game also.
Great night for the Edmonds School District. Lynwood's already got a W. Meadowdale might move into first place tonight all by themselves, and then one of these two teams is going to get a win. It's a fun night to be an Edmonds School District fan.
Scramble up in the middle of the Wesco South 3A.
Absolutely.
We'll be back 8 o'clock. The next one. Stick around. Sound Live Sports Network.